Let's do this. He put this out yesterday, so we're jumping into this fresh. Let's do it. Let's see if he grills the governor. Shall we? Well, Caleb is originally from Michigan. He was born and raised in Michigan and moved to Texas, where he's currently located, and he's going to be moving his offices to New York soon. But he is originally from Michigan. So that may be why he is auditing Michigan. He's auditing his home state. Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, special episode today with the governor of Michigan. I'm going to be auditing the state's finances, but quick little introduction to say, hey, this is the day before Election Day across the country. Make sure you take advantage of your right to vote. Get out there, vote. Lots of state and local elections, and I think one federal election for a special congressional run here in Texas. Just make sure you get out there and vote. Enjoy the episode.
You got to use tariffs like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer to everything.
That's a political talking point. I've never heard one of those in person. That's wild. Food stamps, let's just say, or food assistance. Have we set up our systems in a way we're also just discouraging people from going out there and being contributors? This is the part of the show where I usually go through the spending, and it's like, we got some bullshit spending in there. We got some fucking taquitos. This is some bullshit. Yeah, you're stopping in the gas station, get yourself some bullshit. Political extremism. It's scary. Yeah. What do you think is going on with political extremism right now, and how would you solve it?
Your blood got thin moving down south, didn't it?
Sign up for the new and improved Dollarwise budgeting app.
That's
Take
the
free
weather
trial,
she was
and if you
talking
like
about
it,
there,
sign up for the annual.
Yes, Moose, we're doing another Caleb Rack, but this is a special one. He's auditing the state of Michigan, and it is shorter than the others than the others are. But he's actually auditing the state of Michigan.
Version to save a ton of money and get my budget-friendly cookbook signed by me and mailed directly to you. And for a limited time only, if you want to bundle all of my educational programs together with the budget app,
Okay, I'm pausing a lot already right off the jump. Moss, the reason why he wants to go to New York is it's the financial capital of, at the very least, the country, if not the world. And Caleb is a finance guy. So he wants to have his show and his offices in what is considered the finance capital of the country. And that's why. That's why he's going to New York. You can say what you wish about if it's a good idea, if it's a bad idea, the state of New York, etc., but that's his rationale. That's his reasoning of why he's moving his offices to New York.
Join Dollarwise Central and save 80%. Take the trial and learn more at dollarwise.com.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Whitmer. I'm the governor of Michigan, and this is Financial Audit.
This is crazy.
What?
This is just so weird. The governor of my home state, and we're doing an audit on the home state and talking some more things. This is crazy.
I know. I'm so glad to be with you. I appreciate all the things you do.
Really?
I mean, right now, we'll see how I feel in 60 minutes.
People on the left call me a fascist. So saying that as a Democratic governor who's going to be the Democratic nominee for president at some point, definitely not running though.
Anyway.
Is really good to hear that I'm not a fascist anymore.
Listen, you know what? Everyone's got opinions right now. I'm not going to pay attention to any of that.
No, money's super important.
I'm glad for what you do.
Well,
I think what you do is important.
Yeah, thank you. I really do appreciate that. And, and when it comes to actually like extremism and divisiveness, I would love to hear your opinion on that, towards the end. But, I'd love to start with kind of Michigan finances in general, just kind of what the state looks like.
GBP, I guarantee you, Caleb is the one that supplied the shaker cups. Guaranteed. Because don't forget, he's got a GamerSup sponsorship, so he's got to have the GamerSup product placement out there every time. I doubt she's probably not going to drink from it, but he's got to have the item on the table in view of the gap.
Then do some Michigan policies and then some national ones, because at some point national might be involved in this conversation with you.
Let's go.
We'll see. I want to start though.
She wants him to shut up. It's so funny. She wants him to shut the fuck up about a potential presidential run. She does not like him talking about this. You can tell. She's like, in her eyes, she's like, Caleb, shut the fuck up. And he keeps going. He just keeps fucking going. It's hilarious.
most populous state, pretty big economy. You know, it is a major state. It's an important state in the world of politics. You know, it's gone Trump twice. It went anti-Trump once, right?
Yep.
It went Biden. So, you know, it's very important. We were discussing beforehand, you don't like the term Rust Belt because it feels like it's done. But, you know, that's a very important, like, mega region in the United States. You know, the Midwest, it's the most populous megalopolis.
Yep.
So it's very...
Revan, she showed up because Caleb is one of the top shows on YouTube right now. And Caleb probably reached out to her. And because he's one of the top I think it's like one of the top 5 shows, or at least one of the top 5 finance shows on YouTube. This is good publicity for her and for her state. And that's probably why she showed up.
Important. And kind of how states are doing there and how they're running their economies, how their economies are doing, how the state governments are overall working, I think kind of sets a precedent for how many other states around the country do.
Yeah.
So I want to know first, we'll get into some of the numbers, but when you look at the state budget, when you sign a budget into law, when you advocate for certain things, what are some of the primary things you're thinking of when it comes to revenue collection, when it comes to where we're distributing revenue? What are key priorities for you? What are we hyper-focused on?
So when we think about making sure that anyone can come to Michigan and build the life they want, that's really the North Star. That is who we are. You know, people came to Michigan from around the world for a job in the auto industry.
Well, I left
decades ago. I know. Well, it's time for you to come home.
Well, it's a little cold.
But you got weak, huh? Anyway.
Sorry, continue.
You know, people came from around the world to Michigan to get into the middle class. You could get a job on the line. You didn't even have to go to any schooling beyond high school, and you could get in the middle class, afford a second home up north on the lake. I mean, it was a great quality of life. It's why we've got such rich diversity. It's why we've been the center of...
Fox, he pulled that nugget out. She had to pull out, we've got the rich diversity. I mean, number one, Detroit is in shambles. Detroit is a fucking war zone right now. And Flint's water system is still fucked with lead. I'm wondering if Caleb is going to be bringing up at least those two. You guys have been mentioning Dearborn being under Sharia law. I don't really know about that. I've heard that being said. I don't know about it. But yeah, she did have to pull up that diversity chestnut like a good little politician.
Manufacturing for a long time, and that's a great strength. But we know manufacturing is changing, right? The whole world is changing rapidly. And so as we think about making sure that Michigan stays competitive so that we've got the resources to invest in our people, making sure that we've got the skill sets that are necessary for advanced manufacturing jobs of the future, making sure that we're investing in places so that there are cool places for people to live, and that we're landing projects. You know, it's a competitive world. We have to outcompete other states. We have to outcompete other countries to get big investment that leads to good paying jobs. And right now,
there was the church in Michigan that got burned down.
Yeah, but Kite, it's not the church in Michigan is not the only church that has had issues. Let's ease back, okay? We're here for the financial eye, okay? I know it's going to be very tempting to jump into a lot of the socio-political stuff that, that is on everybody's mind. We're here for the finances. And that comes into, Detroit being a shell of its former self, that financially it's in the toilet, it looks like a war zone, that Flint, Michigan, that its water system is still grossly laden with lead. That's all part of the finances. Why has that not been fixed? Why has money not been allocated to address these issues? The socio-political stuff, it's not part of the money right now. I understand. I get it. I know that it's very tempting to, jump into those hot button topics. We're here for the finances. If what they talk about dovetails into it, then we can discuss it. But let's not, as the saying goes, let's not put the cart before the horse on this kind of stuff.
I think we've done a lot of good things in Michigan. It's tenuous with the tariff chaos that we're all navigating.
This week ushers in another new era of Trump tariffs.
World leaders are trying to figure out how to respond to President Trump's attempt to reshape the global economy.
Columbus, Michigan, 4 farmers feeding the state, but this year there's a new stressor.
Tariffs.
These tariffs are starting to take a bite.
China slapped new tariffs on many items.
Toys, furniture, smartphones, just about everything you can think of that comes from another country, you're going to end up paying more for it.
We feel it.
Yeah. The tariffs are a big issue. Like I told you guys, what was it? Sunday, I think it was, that the trophy that, that the award that I'm supposed to be getting from Tangia for achieving partner status, I don't know if I'm ever going to get it now because of the tariffs impacting their ability to import the trophies from another country.
There is a time and a place for politics. This isn't it. This is a video to laugh at and maybe make
not.
fun of for memes.
Not necessarily, Andrea. This may be serious. We may laugh, sure. But it's also going to be serious to be looking at what the state of Michigan is at financially. That's what we're here for. But I know tariffs are another one of those hot buttons, but it is a consideration. That the tariffs are a consideration because a lot of goods are coming from outside of the country, and that is affecting things both on a local level and a state level. So it is a valid thing to be discussing and criticizing.
More difficult in Michigan because of agriculture and advanced manufacturing, specifically autos. We're more sensitive to the tariff nonsense. And so I think that's a major concern on my mind right now.
And I do have a question about the tariff. I mean, we can, well, actually, I'll jump into that. That kind of goes into the Michigan politics, side of things. When it came to NAFTA, it projected we lost manufacturing jobs in Michigan of about 44,000 by 2010, 112,000 by 2018, with even expanding into more Chinese trade. And Michigan lost, potentially upwards of 231,000 jobs since NAFTA was enacted. Manufacturing jobs losing about 21.3%. Now, Trump's trade wars or deals that he's trying to do, they tend to be more nationalistic. They tend to be more protective. If Michigan specifically has lost 21%, I do tend to like a good mixture of globalism and then some, patriotism, nationalistic. I think there's a good hybrid to be done. But in general, the political left does tend to be more globalistic right now, stereotypically, right? Oversimplifying. And the right tends to be more nationalistic. Wouldn't you, of the Rust Belt, state of Michigan that lost 21% in those sectors, be more in favor of something that's a bit more protectionist?
Well, yes and no. You got to be really smart, right? You got to use tariffs like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. It's not the answer to everything.
That's a political talking point. I've never heard one of those in person. That's wild. That's wild.
But it's true. I mean, you got to be really thoughtful about it. Tariffs have their place, for sure.
Yeah.
We've always had, some sort of a tariff scheme because we can compete. We can outcompete anyone on a level playing field. But there are a lot of countries that aren't playing on a level. Yes, we can.
On
Absolutely.
level for price?
Yes.
Our price of labor is substantially more expensive in the United States.
When you look at quality, when you look at efficiency, yes, we can. But we got to have a level playing field. And
Caleb's not
because
buying
of
it.
so many decisions that have been made over many decades.
And by the one thing that's not being, maybe he's going to address it here, is when NAFTA came about, the North American Free Trade Agreement came out, you saw there was so many jobs that got lost because those jobs went overseas. So, with the North American Free Trade Agreement, a lot of the jobs left the U.S. and went overseas to other countries for those specific things. Getting them back is not as easy as people might think, because all of those jobs that that left the country to go overseas, and America started to import everything when it was originally made in the U.S., all of that equipment, all of that labor, all of that training is gone. The buildings are gone, the equipment is gone, all of that's gone. The financial hardship to rebuild all of that is substantial. To try and like, you can talk about how, bringing jobs back into the U.S., instead of outsourcing to other countries for so many of these different types of manufacturing, and talk about bringing it back into the U.S. It's all well and good to talk about. I myself had zero objection to bringing those manufacturing jobs back into the U.S. and getting a labor force back in place in the U.S. The problem is the financial hardship to do that is so massive right now. Both the financial and the logistical hardships to facilitate that is so fucking huge. And with this, and the state of the country's financial well-being right now, realistically, how the question has to be is how possible is it? How possible is it for all of these companies to suddenly contract back into the U.S. to bring back these manufacturing jobs when they are getting when it's going to cost them a fuck ton to rebuild this entire industry in the U.S. Plus, they need to pay the wages, and as some of you guys point out, they're getting these products from overseas dirt fucking cheap. They're getting dirt fucking cheap because they're getting them in sweatshops. They're getting them in like what amounts to slave labor, workshops, and so they're getting them dirt fucking cheap overseas, and then they're selling the products themselves for a substantial profit in the States. Corporations are not necessarily going to want to do that. Even with the tariffs in place, it's probably still cheaper for them to purchase from overseas, import, pay the tariff cost, and then just take that tariff cost and import that onto the pricing on the shelves, which are already overpriced. Bearing in mind, there's probably something like, at minimum, there's probably about 100-time markup. Like the markup is about 100%, or not 100%. It's probably, the markup is probably about 1,000% markup from manufacturing to shelf. These companies are doing like 1,000% markup, and all they're going to do is they're going to take that cost that they have to pay for importing with tariffs, and they're just going to apply that on top of the 1,000% markup to the cost of the product when they sell it in the States to consumers. And we are talking about to contract and bring all of these businesses back, all these manufacturing back into the States. We are talking billions. Okay, to take all of these, what Trump has said, like his reason for the tariffs is bringing all the spending, bringing manufacturing, bringing jobs back in the States. The cost to these companies to do this will be billions, with a B. And since these companies answer shareholders, and the shareholders are not going to want to see they're not going to be getting as big of a return on their investment while they're facilitating these manufacturing, and even after refacilitating building, and even after the building is done, they're going to be paying the workers a higher cost because they're not going to be paying for the slave labor over in the poor, those poor nations that are using slave labor to paying their workers 5 cents a month, and instead they have to actually pay minimum wage in the States at minimum. They're going to be looking at higher upfront costs, which means one of two things: either their shareholders are not going to be getting as much money, which is going to piss off the shareholders, or the cost of the price of the goods once it gets in the hands of the consumer is going to be higher. Which is worse, to spend money to try and fix it or do nothing. There you go. You're correct, JBD. That's where the question will come into play. And my guess is, as of now, it's cheaper for these companies to do nothing, pay for the tariffs, and just and basically ride this out. Because despite popular opinion, Trump is not going to be in office forever. When he finishes his term in 2029, he's gone. someone will be coming into his place. And if it's a Democrat, chances are that Democrat is immediately going to drop all the tariffs. And yeah, that's why I said 20. It's he was no, it's 2029. Yeah, the election will be in 2029. The election should be in 2010. Fuck, I can't talk. 2029, right? And if it happens to be a Democrat that wins the election, is it 2028? Okay, 2028. I'm screwing up my ears. My mistake. 2028. So if a Democrat wins, the minute that a Democratic president takes office, one of the first things they're going to do if the tariffs are still in place is they're going to drop the tariffs. And so these companies like, you know what? We just got to bite the bullet for the next 3 years, three and a half years, and see what happens. And I suspect that that's what they're going to do. And they're not going to contract their manufacturing into the U.S. when they're still making bank despite the tariffs. Anyway, rant, opinion, again, this is an opinion. I am not a financial guru by any stretch of the imagination. I'm trying to work off of pure logic. So any financial people that want to start reading and screaming about how grotesquely wrong I am about everything I said, just remember, I am a layperson. I'm working off of logic of some of the information that I have. I'm a layperson. I fully realize that I could be taking a very naive look at all of this. This is my opinion. Do not take it as advice from an expert, please.
And because of so many decisions that have been made over many decades, we know that our North American auto industry relies on parts that are going back and forth over the Ambassador Bridge in Detroit to Windsor, Canada, 7-8 times a day for parts. I mean, this trade is really important. We've built it in. Trump negotiated the USMCA, or whatever you want to call it, depending on which country you're in. They all call it something different because they want their own country to start first. I totally, wholeheartedly want us to onshore and bring as much manufacturing to the shores of the United States. By the same token, I'm very sober about who our allies are and who's really been a part of our growth and what we've required manufacturing to rely on. You can't set up a plant overnight. It takes years. These companies make decades and investments, decades on the front end. And so
it's a lot of fucking money to do that.
Manufacturing is different than almost any other type of commerce that we have. And that's why it needs to be used as a scalpel, not a sledgehammer.
You know, that certainly makes sense from the perspective of, you know, whatever political party we're leaning from and everything like that. I will say, I just want to start out of the gate from my audience, even though people on like the far left call me a fascist and stuff. We were even talking about this before. Like, I took out of just pure curiosity when people were putting me in political camps, political tests like a week ago, and I'm aggressively, boringly, but obnoxiously centrist. Like that fence is going right through my and out my mouth. It is brutal. I apologize, Governor.
That's a visual. Thank you.
It is, but I'm an obnoxious fence sitter. You know, one of the more not controversial things, but because you talked about it, you know, a plant doesn't get set up overnight, right?
Yep. You've done a lot of research. You got a lot there.
Well, you know, this is exciting. You know, a part of the spending that kind of comes out of the state could be more incentive type spending, but we're talking like the Blue Oval Battery Park. That incentive package was cut from $1.03 billion to $409 million. You know, and if we're thinking about plants being set up overnight, you know, this is one of the more controversial things that was done from the state government perspective. And that was projected jobs from 2,500 down to 1,700. And then the state pulled a separate $100 million grant tied to lighting reductions there. And then there was the Make It in Michigan, you know, $1 billion on 5 EV battery related projects pledged there. You know, where we're choosing to put the money that obviously other people are making and whatnot. And then we're kind of reducing some of the incentive packages we're doing to certain plans. And like you said, it's not an overnight thing when they get in there. You know, what is your thoughts on that in terms of where we're putting the money to help businesses?
guys, eh, relax. Relax about the term limit thing. Relax. This is you guys are fixating on this more than I fixate on a good BDSM scene. Okay? Stop. Well, I know. It's fine. It's fine. I promise. It's fine.
Actually relocate to other states, especially when we're kind of slashing and then saying, no, it's going to go into 5 EV battery plants. I'd love to hear your perspective.
I think when you talk about autos, there's no question that the technology is changing and evolving, and we're getting smarter, we're getting cleaner. That's a good thing, right?
Okay, I have something to say about the EV. EV vehicles look good on paper. They look good on paper because it's like, oh, vehicles are not generating any emissions. And so it's cleaner, it's more economically friendly. There's a problem. There are 2 very big problems when it comes to EV. Number one, EVs are more dangerous than gas-powered vehicles. That's number one. In terms of crashes, an EV is more likely to explode or to have a multi-day week fire because of the lithium-ion battery than a gas-powered vehicle is. You can, if an EV catches fire, you can't put it out. It is extremely dangerous. Electronic vehicle fires cannot be put out by the fire department. You either have to just let it burn or dump it in a pool or something and let it sit underwater for fucking days until it finally goes out by itself. You cannot actually extinguish an EV fire. So they are more dangerous than gas-powered vehicles, number one. Number two, in terms of being more economically friendly, no, here's the thing. The vehicle itself is not producing greenhouse gas emissions, which is the big selling point. You're not producing greenhouse gas emissions with an EV. When you're charging it, that's resulting in the power plants churning out more power and thus belching even more CO2 into the air because you have more and more EVs that need to be charged, and that's a higher draw from the power plant, so the power plant has to cook even harder to basically accommodate that heightened energy output. And when the power plant needs to take it into high gear to accommodate this, it's going to be producing even more CO2 emissions. So you're literally just trading. Now, Revan, like you said, if we were to switch to nuclear power, if we were to start to convert more power plants to nuclear, now we have a different conversation. If we started seeing more nuclear power plants replacing traditional fossil fuel power plants, now we have a different discussion entirely of how EVs might be more economically friendly to the environment, because where the power draw is coming from is not producing those greenhouse gas emissions. It is, nuclear power is creating a much cleaner power source. So now that would be a whole different conversation. But as we're sitting now, the vast majority of power is coming from your standard fossil fuel burning power plants that are producing your power. Enhanced geothermal, microviper, I haven't looked into the science on it, so I really can't speak to enhanced geothermal. There's possibility there, but I haven't looked at it very much. I can't give a very informed answer regarding it. The only thing I'm reasonably familiar with is the use of the nuclear power, how it is much cleaner. Just have to figure out where to store the spent fuel rods. I don't think Yucca Mountain is actually still in use anymore. I think they stopped work on Yucca Mountain, so I don't think we actually have a good place to deposit our nuclear waste at this point. But that is, at this time, a good option.
Nuclear power is cheaper in the long term than fossil fuels.
Correct. That's the other side of it, JRC, is that nuclear power would be much cheaper. It'd be much cheaper, it'd be much more efficient, it'd be much more environmentally friendly. It's just that, the hippie scare of nuclear power back from like the fucking 70s is still sticking around, and people are just like, oh, nuclear power, Chernobyl, Fukushima. No, we can't possibly do that. Like, everybody flips the fuck out about that when they, when nuclear power and the engineering of the power plants has come a long fucking way since then. And nuclear power plants in today's modern engineering, and even moving forward, are extremely safe. But you've got people that are still just like, nuclear power, ew, no, dangerous. Oh, you're gonna kill us all. We're gonna grow a third eye and an extra dick or something. So yeah.
And under the Biden administration, they had a lot of incentives, and we saw a huge amount of investment that was being contemplated or begun in this country during the Biden administration. Now, with the Trump administration, a lot of things are getting pulled back, and business is nervous, right? You know, as well as I know, when there is an uncertain, strategy, when the rules keep changing. What happens in uncertainty? It's paralysis, right? You stop spending, you pull back, you wait to see, is the dust going to settle, and we're going to make these billions of dollars of investments. And so one of the things we know, though, as more electric vehicles come online, as we build up the grid and support people being able to travel with an electric vehicle, where the batteries are built is going to be the center of gravity, because they're going to be the heaviest component in the car. And so battery plants are really important to Michigan as we think about the long-term dominance in mobility. We are currently the home of R&D for almost every auto company on the planet.
Michigan loves them cars.
Yeah. But we've got to also be able to be the place where they can build batteries. They got the expertise and the concentration of assets in Michigan. And that's why
why
really
haven't you
getting
talked to
aggressive
Elon
around
Musk?
that space has been important for us.
Which, I mean, I can certainly vibe with, but, as like the CEO of the state, right? And we're thinking about what CEOs are doing right now. 87% of CEOs in Michigan expect a weaker overall state economy looking over the next decade.
Yeah, there's no question that when you look at right now what's happening, there are a lot of very, troubling signs about what's happening in the economy. And I think a lot of it stems from the unpredictability of the tariff network and policies right now coming out of DC. It's challenging. And I have been advocating with the president, with his cabinet, with folks in Washington, DC. I mean, I go no matter who's in office because my job
you hit
is
your face.
deliver. Well, I wasn't there for that particular press conference, but
that was very funny. That was very funny, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, come on. That was great.
I can laugh at it now.
Yes.
But, my job is I'm the governor of Michigan. I got to show up and fight for the people of Michigan and the Michigan economy. And that's really what I'm doing.
Very true, Revan. Very true. Is that another big issue with the EV batteries is you have to mine for the lithium. And that, lithium mining, that is talking about being environmentally friendly. Lithium mining fucks up areas where you mine for it. Where to get the rare earth metals for those, you are creating huge, absolutely gargantuan swaths of land that are fucked. The mining process for the lithium and, like you said, Baconator, the cobalt is extremely damaging to the environment. Extremely. And that's also a factor that not a lot of people talk about. That's not coming up in this discussion. Like, Governor Whitmer here is like, no, we got to get the batteries, the battery plants into Detroit, talking about the environment, but the process to obtain these rare earth metals fucks the environment 10 ways to Tuesday. Like, what needs to happen, I think, is there needs to be more research, if we're talking about alternative fuel alternatives, is we need to start looking more into the hydrogen fuel cell technology. The car industry needs to really start delving deeper into examining like hydrogen fuel cell technology, because hydrogen is one of the most abundant elements in the fucking universe. And there was an effort, I think it was Chevy had initially started doing a hydrogen fuel cell research onto it. No, it would be a hydrogen on wheels, action bastard. No, the technology is different. But Chevy started the research on it, and then they fucked off from it. And then I think Honda or Toyota has actually opened up a research facility. Yeah, it's Toyota. Yeah, okay, so it is Toyota. Yeah, so Toyota is now kickstarted the research on hydrogen fuel cells again. They've jumped back into it. And honestly, hydrogen fuel cells is the way to go right now. As of right now, with the technology available to us, with the research that's being done, the hydrogen fuel cell is the way to go because it is an incredibly abundant element. They can make it there was good research, there was good experimentation back when Chevy was still working on it, that the hydrogen fuel cell could be done efficiently, could be done safely. We weren't looking at a goddamn Hindenburg situation, so shut up about that. But no, they were starting to make good progress, and I think they probably stopped because it just wasn't cost efficient for them, or they said, we're going nowhere with this, and we're pissing money into this, so we're going to stop. But Toyota is picking it back up. Toyota has picked back up the research into the hydrogen fuel cell technology. Tesla, that is the magnet or magnetic field or electromagnetic systems. You're talking about something
turbine-powered cars.
If it was possible to facilitate electromagnetic vehicle systems, the undertaking for that would bankrupt the country. You're talking about needing to retrofit literally every road in the country, no matter how big, no matter how small. You would have to retrofit the entire fucking country, and that's not doable. That is not going to happen.
And I'm trying to set the table, and I'm trying to make sure that our people have skills and that you understand, how to have personal finance, passing a law so that we are arming our people with information so they can make good choices and build the lives that they want. All of these things are related.
And I am very excited to talk about that one because that is something I've advocated for these past 3 years. But I do want to talk about, again, the state of Michigan first. Sorry, I get distracted into rabbit holes way too easily. So outstanding debt for the state of Michigan, $6.925 billion by the end of last year. Now, we're looking at 2024's financials because I believe 2024 to 2025 financials for the state of Michigan just closed out this month or last month, if I'm not mistaken. However, good news. That debt went down $300 million or 4.2% year over year. Geo bonded debt, $691.2 million. But then, the vast majority of that 6.9 is revenue dedicated from transportation and state building authority. And then the government itself does have lease commitments of $729.4 million in general. Then there is MDOT capital commitments, year-end $3.3 billion. How do you feel about the debt of the state of Michigan? I mean, 4.2% paid off year over year.
Wait, hold up. How much was the debt? Okay, Department of Transportation capital is fuck. By 3.3 billion commitment for the Department of Transportation. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot for DOT.
How do you feel about the debt of the state of Michigan? I mean, 4.2%
it is awesome.
paid off year over year. If you were a guest on the show, I wouldn't be screaming too much at that. That's pretty okay. That's pretty chill. That's progress.
We've paid off a lot of debt, and I'm proud of that. I think that that's really important. One of the things that states can't do, like the federal government does, is run deficits, right? Borrow money. We can't do that. We've got to have a balanced budget. I have had a balanced bipartisan budget every year that I've been governor. I've been to Wall Street to meet with rating agencies. We secured an upgrade in our bond rating. These
AAA, right?
These are
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't think that he's gonna be putting the numbers at the top of the screen like he does for a normal financial audit. This is not going to be the normal financial audit. I think the majority of what we're going to be seeing is on screen right in front of us. If he starts putting numbers up the top like a standard financial audit, I will move you guys.
AA, I think, right now. But, that was an upgrade from where
Wait,
we were
what was that?
with rating agencies. We secured an upgrade in our bond rating. These
AAA, right?
These are AA, I think, right now. But, that was an upgrade from where we were. And so I think it's important.
Well, okay, in terms of the bond rating systems, that one's a little suspect. If you guys, we watched The Big Short for movie night, where the bond rating systems will give, bond rating systems, exactly. They kind of, they're a bit pay for play. And so, it's like, okay, is the state of Michigan, shopping around for bond rating agencies that will give them the better rate. They obviously they couldn't give them a AAA, but okay, they may have been able to find a bond rating agency that, like, okay, you're going to give us a AA, or do we have to go to your competitor? And they go, oh, okay, we'll give you the AA, and then you can pay us for giving you that rate. So take the bond rating system with a big heaping grain of salt, because we've seen that played with, we've seen fuck around played with that in the past.
We're going to have our fiscal house in order. It impacts everything that we're trying to do. So we take that very seriously. It's not sexy to most, but I'm glad that you find it exciting.
No, I'm gooning over here. Let's go. Do you know what gooning is?
You know what? I actually was just hearing about gooning.
Really? From who?
Oh, God.
The lieutenant governor?
Whoa.
I don't know. Is that a controversial thing?
Where was it? I don't know. I had something on television.
They're talking about gooning on TV.
You
that
were talking
sounds
to a
right.
guy.
This is
you were
Goon
talking to a
Central.
guy who was spending his money on spicy media.
But you withdrew, what is this adding up to, about $700, would you say? $700 in cash.
That's a lot. I can't think of anything.
Oh, this one, we haven't seen this one. This guy literally, I think this is the one where the guy brings his mother onto the show. Like, he starts off the show, it's just him and Caleb Caleb actually brings his mother on set to finish it.
Not strippers.
No, he doesn't do that. No, I just stay at home all day, really. He really doesn't go anywhere.
It's expensive gooning. It's just smoking gooning. Now, if I saw that in the government,
There you go.
the government's
Possibly,
books, some
possibly.
only purchases, I'd be a little concerned. They're not there, are they, as we go through here?
Is that what you were talking about when you were saying he was gooning, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably had that OF.
So educate your listeners who are not as cool as you. Gooning.
Endless permanent never finishes.
I appreciate.
Otherwise known as long-term edging. Like, okay, I gotta say it. Like, this used to be called edging. This used to be called edging, which had an indeterminate amount of time. Like, you would get edged. And then, I don't know where, I think it was VTubers, personally. I think it was VTubers that came up with the phrase gooning. That's my suspicion, is that there is, like, I suspect some VTubers, took the term edging, and maybe edging was a little bit too edgy, and they just decided to cutesy it up, and now they're calling it gooning. Right now. I want to be bred. Dear God, breed me now. You had to do it, didn't you, Shadow? Didn't ya? Well, no, Zeb, edging it? Okay, maybe you know a different definition than I do. And we're going wildly off track, but fuck it, we ball. In my head, edging was always basically doing some form of masturbatory behavior when not allowing yourself or not being allowed to finish. That is what edging has what I have always thought edging was. Yes, that's gooning too. That is gooning. He just said gooning is masturbating but never finishing. Didn't he? Isn't that what he said?
Listeners who are not as cool as you. Gooning.
Endless permanent never finishes.
Endless permanent masturbating never finishes. That is edging. That's edging. Yeah, basically, and And I swear, like the first time I heard this definition change was actually, I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. It wasn't Bell, it was fucking Numi. Numi is the first person I ever heard use the term gooning. Because she talked about the goon couch. And so I think that that's where it started with, it changed it from edging to gooning. I still call it edging. More people nowadays call it gooning. I still call it edging. I will continue to call it edging. As you guys well know. Anyway, moving on. We're here for finances, not sex talk. Although you guys know I'm always up for sex talk. But moving on.
I appreciate
I apologize.
you.
And press secretary, I apologize. I keep seeing her there. I'm judging on her facial reactions.
About it. Yes, it was your show. Thank you for educating me, Caleb.
One thing that is a slight concern, though, there is if we look at the net position.
Yeah.
Of the state of Michigan, it is still negative $1.3 billion. Now that's like assets owned and then commitments that is required spending. So yes, we're running a surplus. Or at least we're, breaking even. But overall, in general, we are still in a negative net position. So negative net worth, essentially, if we're translating from someone's household to the government of Michigan. How do we feel about that? Let's talk about student loans. I know it's something.
I jump it. Yes, Mose, of course the press secretary is there. Why wouldn't the press secretary be there? Like, there's no fucking shot that the governor of the state is going to go and do something like this without the press secretary right fucking there, because chances are there's going to need to be a press conference or something given, a press release given after this episode airs, because that's how politics works. As soon as this episode aired, which is yesterday, guarantee you a press release had to be made for it. And so yeah, the press secretary, it's just like with the president. With the governor is essentially, quote unquote, the president of the state. If you want to get bare bones with it, the governor is essentially the president of the state. And so the governor has, a vice governor, a press secretary, all the same things that all the cabinet positions that the president has. So press secretary basically goes where the governor goes.
Once and for all.
Well, I don't love it. I don't love the fact that we've built a budget based on some expectations from the federal government that right now with the shutdown, we don't know what is going to happen and what's not going to happen. We've got a lot of folks who get food benefits from the feds that the money's not coming in. So, I mean, this is, I think, a really lousy position to be in. What we can control, we try to make sure that we get our budgets done on time and that they're balanced. But there are a lot of things that we can't control. And so we've got
Are you seeing what I'm seeing right now? Hey, is anybody seeing what I'm seeing right now? Anybody? Look at her posture. Yep, exactly, JBD, or TDB. Look at her posture. Before, she was much more relaxed, and now the crossed arms, she's closing off. She's closing off, and she's getting defensive. Those subtle nonverbal cues.
That we get our budgets done on time and that they're balanced, but there are a lot of things that we can't control, and so we've got to have enough flexibility to make decisions along the way in our budgets.
And when it comes to spending, Health and Human Services is $35.57 billion, or 44% of the spending in the state of Michigan. If we're talking food stamps, let's just say, or food assistance, I used to be, I still am. I want people to have assistance who need assistance, especially those that fall back. It's a safety net, right?
Yep.
Safety. I've had so many people on this show now, and I know we get the worst of the worst. It is. Not you, I'm sorry. Like, your personal finances are probably okay?
Yeah, they're in pretty good shape.
Nice. Okay, so, but I've had so many people on the show where they are specifically choosing to not go work more hours because then they'll be taking off benefits. And I'm wondering, even though I want to support people who fall on hard times, obviously, because they're human beings.
Yeah, there's a recent video of his that we're probably going to do fairly soon, where like I caught like the clip of it where essentially the guest that he has on the show doesn't want to work because she'll get off of her food stamps benefits. And he's like, you can work. And she's like, I don't want to. And so this is a big complaint right now. This is, I think, a whole thing with EBT. The federal EBT getting cut off is a lot of people going, well, now I actually have to go fucking work. I can't just like sit home and get $3,000 worth of food stamps and just live off of social assistance. I actually have to get out there and work. And that's like I think that is where Caleb might be leading to on this is like, but with federal programs and social assistance is good. It is a good thing to have. I'm absolutely pro social assistance for people that need it because shit happens, life is chaos, and you can lose your job at the snap of a finger. Something can happen, you can receive an injury, and all of a sudden you cannot work and you're unable to make money. And it is a wonderful thing for that safety net by the state or by the Fed to be there to help you. Either help you through life if you are no longer able to work because of whatever specific reason you have that is legitimate, or to basically cushion you and give you a leg up when you're trying to get back on your feet. Where I don't agree with is people that are fucking lazy and basically turn it into their lifestyle, and they basically just go, I'm just going to live off social assistance, and they're going to work fucking day of my life, and I'm just going to work the system. That I got a fucking problem with. That I have a serious fucking problem with. And I'm hoping Caleb delves it deeper into this and kind of sticks it to her on this.
Yeah. Have we set up our systems in a way, let's say the state of Michigan, where we're also just discouraging people from going out there and being contributors?
Yeah. Well, that is an obscene and I think rare example of where the system is not perfect, right?
Yeah.
That we want to incentivize work. We want people to be gainfully employed and not reliant on state funding. But we recognize that there are a lot of people who right now are struggling to just take care of their daily needs, their family's needs. So that's why this is important. I understand that you've had people suggest that you could move to Michigan and get some benefits.
No, Nicholas, no. You misunderstood what she said. She wasn't saying that people on the social assistance are rare. That's not what she said. I think you misheard her. That's why I'm backing up.
We want to incentivize work. We want people to be gainfully employed.
I think she said
from going out there and being contributors.
Yeah. Well, that is an obscene and I think rare example of where the system is not perfect, right?
Yeah.
That's what she was saying. She was saying it was a rare and obscene example of where the system is not perfect. She was not referencing that it's rare for someone to be on social assistance. I think you might have misunderstood her.
Right now are struggling to just take care of their daily needs, their family's needs. So that's why this is important. I understand that you've had people suggest that you could move to Michigan and get some benefits that you can't get elsewhere. That's just not true. And I wanted to go out of my way to address that. Okay.
Wow.
Because, we're all playing by the same federal rules. And so every state should be the same on those fronts. We have different interpretations, different applications. Some of us make it easier to apply, et cetera. But I think that that's something worth highlighting.
Now, my big concern when I look through the finances of the state of Michigan is the funding ratio for the pension.
Michigan's next budget is on Governor Gretchen Whitmer's desk.
In a primary.
Okay, he didn't dig down into it as deep as I would have liked. I would have liked to see him dig down on it more. Whereas, if he'd been able to pull some statistics of people that are going on social assistance and are not finding jobs, or as who was it that just pointed that out? Shadows, like you pointed out, where people that do have a job, but the job is only paying them so much, and that the cost of living has skyrocketed so tremendously that even with a job, they're not able to have even a decent quality of life. And they need to facilitate, social assistance would help them with that. But because they're working, the system is saying, well, you're over the limit of where you can receive social assistance. And so you end up with essentially the working poor these days. So I would have liked to have seen him drill down a little bit on that, but I also appreciate he has a very limited amount of time, and he's trying to hit as many different topics as possible in that. So I understand why he's not like really drilling down on some of these.
Ratio for the pension.
Michigan's next budget is on Governor Gretchen Whitmer's desk.
And a primary focus of the budget, as it always is public education.
The move in the lame duck session is aimed at bringing greater financial stability to troubled districts.
This is much less than the last fiscal year.
We're talking about an unfunded liability of about $27 billion, but a good chunk of that doesn't make it to the classroom.
The state ranks 44th in the nation when it comes to starting pay.
The average starting salary for Michigan teachers was $41,645.
Wow, in Michigan? I'm pretty sure that's not a lot. That's like 41,000 in Michigan. That's working poor. I'm reasonably sure that's working poor at $41,000 in Michigan. Wow. Oh yeah. I mean, we shouldn't stress that teachers being paid dog shit wages is not specific to Michigan. This is endemic throughout the entire nation, and it's endemic not even through the entire nation. U.S. It's endemic in Canada too. Like, teachers do not get paid fuck all, and it shows. Like the amount of money going into this educational systems all over, it's showing how low it is by the quality of the students that are coming out of these schools. And that's why, like, education is a big hot button issue for a lot of people with a lot. Yes, 41,000 per year, Warthog. That's the starting salary for a teacher. And that's why education is a big thing for a lot of people in, election seasons. Is like, what are you going to do about education? Education is in the shitter right now. All over the country, education is in the shitter. We are seeing graduates that are just basically getting rubber stamped through. We're seeing more and more graduates of high schools and even college that are dumb as a box of fucking rocks. And we're not seeing any improvement. In fact, we're only seeing it worse. And that's why education is such a huge thing during election seasons.
That's around $4,800 less than the national average.
There's not a lot of economic incentive to pursue a career in teaching.
The budgeting could result in layoffs in the upcoming year.
We're talking 74.83% is adequately funded for what is needed to fund for the entire state pension. I would love to hear your perspective on this. Now, I will give a W. That's gone up from 66.3% last year to 74% this year. But that is still very far away from mandatory that needs to be handed out. And honestly, the gain has only been caught up through market recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we've got a state treasurer, Rachel.
So the state didn't do anything to bring that pension up. The state did nothing to bring up the funding for the pension. It was the market turnaround that did. The state didn't actively do anything. Hey, Governor, what you call?
Eubanks, who I think does a fantastic job. We've made a lot of headway on whether it's paying down debt or increasing our rating, but there still is more work to do. There's no question. I mean, pensions have been an important tool in getting people to go into public service.
Yes.
And we saw with the Detroit bankruptcy about 10 years ago that all the pensioners ended up not getting fully what they expected to when they worked for the city of Detroit for as many years as they did. So these pension systems can be unwieldy, but we have a duty to fund them.
Sure. I mean, the pension system being $24.4 billion underwater is 5 times the annual K through 12 school aid fund contribution. So it's going to take a long time to close the gap. And then also with a retiree to active ratio of 1 to 3, it's a little scary. What would you do to fix it?
What do I'm curious. I know you've done a ton of research here. How do we stack up? What are you seeing things that other states are doing that we should be that we should learn from?
You know, I'll be honest, I was just pulling data from the state of Michigan and hyper-focusing on state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Because even when it comes to a lot of the guests on the show, I try not to sit there and endlessly compare them to other people.
Right.
I take a look at their situation. I'm like, okay, here's things that aren't good. What can we do to fix it? Now, fixing a pension, that is not my expertise. But I would absolutely love to hear, you know, kind of what you would do. If you had the dictatorial stamp in the state of Michigan, how would you fix this pension underfunding ratio?
Well, at the end of the day, right, I don't get to have a dictatorial ability to.
Yeah, well, yeah, boss, I was waiting to see how he was going to finish this. Yeah, why is she asking a YouTuber? Why is she asking a YouTuber, what do you think we should do? Or how do we stack up compared to other states? Why is she asking a YouTuber this? Who works on personal finance, not governmental finance? Shouldn't this be something that she already was asking her own financial advisors in her own government? Like, she has people that will do this. Yet she's asking a YouTuber, how do we stack up? What do you think we should do? And, like, I know an argument to be made, like, okay, she's looking for an outsider's point of view. You know, she was looking like maybe she has gotten all this information from her financial advisors. And maybe she was looking for an outsider's point of view, someone that's not within her inner circle, who is not potentially speaking yes man, and just looking to get an idea from a complete stranger who is intelligent in the financial world. Possibly. Or, Atsudashi, like you were saying, maybe she was looking to see, like, try to gauge how much he knows. Like, Seth, I'm not saying, like, oh, this is, like, a deliberate thing of deflection. It's like, no, it's, like, I understand why she asked the question. I do. But it's, at the same time, it's, like, she should have some of these answers. Like, she should have been able to proactively say, like, you know, we've seen it, you know, we've seen how this functions, you know, how the finances are working in this state, or broadly speaking of, we've seen how, you know, the similar situations are working in other states, and we see that they're doing this and it's not working. So we're trying to do, you know, maybe we're trying to do this. And yeah, it's like it does feel like a deflection. It does feel like she was trying to take heat off of her own shoulders and kind of spotlight him instead, and try and maybe pull a little bit of an over reverse card. And Caleb just shot that die. He's like, look, I'm focused on your shit right now. I'm not looking at broad scope. I'm hyper fixated on your stuff right now. We're just looking at your numbers. I'm not looking at the other states. So, like, I can, exactly, yeah. And that's what I was saying, Joe. It's like, I can see the rationale behind her asking the question, because he is someone that's outside the circle, who is knowledgeable on finance, and was just looking for another opinion, one that she has not heard from yet. That, I absolutely can buy that. You can look at it both ways. I'm actually kind of leaning a little bit towards that, where she was looking to get the opinion of an outside source, someone that's not in her inner circle, and just like getting an opinion like cold, off the cuff from him. Where, Nick, I can go along with that a little bit.
Of the day, right? I don't get to have a dictatorial ability to fix every problem that I see. And I think that's not how it should be, frankly.
Oh, that's a politician answer. Oh, that was such a politician answer. Caleb just asked her, if you had the hypothetical dictatorial stamp where you basically could just do anything and it would happen. Like, you can make anything, you know, you could basically say, we're doing this and it gets done to fix something. What would you do? And she's like, oh, well, the fact is I don't, and it shouldn't be that way. And she's dodging. Because she knows that any answer that she wouldn't answer, because she knows that any answer she might give, don't forget, we are living in a highly polarized society right now. And she's trying to make her election. And she's trying to maintain positivity in the public sphere. And so she's trying to be extra cautious because she knows if she steps out of line even slightly, we've seen this in the DEI spectrum. You step 1 foot out of line and they're dogpiling you. You have to stay lockstep, and you have to drink the Kool-Aid. And if you go out of line even slightly, you get fucking dogpiled by the activists. And so she's deliberately saying, well, I'm not going to talk hypotheticals because even if it's a good answer, even if it's the right answer, even if this is how things need to happen in this hypothetical situation, people are going to look at that and go, fascist, Nazi, insert whatever fucking buzzword they've come up with this week here. And she knows that because it's a polarized society right now. So many people are in an all or nothing game, and they will not accept hypotheticals as just being hypotheticals. They won't. They will basically they will hear a hypothetical and they will say, that's how she thinks. She's going to try and like rip everybody off the food stamps, or she's going to raise taxes or anything. And they will take that and act like it's going to be fact instead of just a hypothetical or a thought exercise of just working out an issue.
To work with the legislature to have policies that make sense that everyone can live with. And right now I've got a Republican House and a Democratic-controlled Senate. I think that we did a lot of good things in this last budget that we got done, whether it is cutting taxes on overtime and tips like the House Republican leadership wanted to do. It's similar to what President Trump has done on the national level, or it is investing in kids and newborn health that was a Senate priority. We got a lot of good stuff done, but there's always going to be additional work to do to shore up as we think long term, especially as we've got so many public servants who are aging and are going to be relying on this. So how can I fix it overnight? I can't fix it overnight.
Not overnight,
I recognize that it's an important part of a long-term solution that we got to continue to strive toward.
Well, what is the steps to put in for the long-term solution though to fix the pension?
Want
to know a dirty little secret?
Sorry, Caleb.
Yes, to see what your money's been doing behind your back, click below to get started.
Well, first, as you said, we were in a stronger position than we were, and a lot of that's been driven by the market.
Yes.
So we'll take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how do we ensure that we're putting more resources in? We've got our MIPSers, which is our school employees retirement. That is going to be coming offline in a few years because we're getting up to full funding there. And so that is one additional mechanism that we'll have to put toward additional retirement dollars.
So my concern when it comes to, I know that's not a retirement plan for everyone in Michigan. It's,
Right.
the employees for the state. But when it comes to, especially on the federal level, entitlement programs that are put in, I'm a big fan, a lot of the concept of a lot of them. But one thing that we at least find within the last 100 years, if a big entitlement is put in, it's impossible to get rid of. And my fear with, like a pension plan like this, right, is it's so attached, people are going to be very patriotic about it who are, state employees. Mm-hmm. But if it is not a sustainable system, it's going to be borderline impossible to tweak in a significant enough way to change it or even get rid of. Kind of like Social Security. It's not going to work for my generation. I'm going to get a substantially less amount of money.
Yep.
And that sucks. And it's going to...
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Social Security is dying. For those of you that are like Gen Z, and maybe even millennial on the younger side, there's a big question mark whether or not you will even be able to get Social Security when the time comes for you to age into Social Security. The entire thing is dying, and by the time Gen Z reaches like retirement Social Security age, it will probably be gone. It will, it's not 100% dead, Shadows, but it's on life support. It's on life support right now, and Gen Z and Alpha and every other generation after that will not receive Social Security. Correct, War Dog. Unless the job that you're in has a great retirement program, like if they have like if the job you're in does like RSP contributions that's Canadian, like 401k. Like if you work a job for 30 years and there's a 401k you can contribute to in your job, that will be your retirement. There's going to be no federal retirement for anyone of the Gen Z unless something changes. Unless something changes, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and every generation after will not have money from the federal government for retirement through Social Security. It's gonna be gone.
Be much more on the level of a literal Ponzi. It's not right now, because right now, money coming in, it's not fully dependent on money coming in. By the time I retire, it's going to be fully dependent on money coming in. So that's what makes me nervous about like the pension system.
Well, I think to be clear, no, people aren't getting pensions now, right? Like this is not a long-term issue that we're seeing continuous, continued in terms of policy. Previous governors and legislators got into the pension system. I'm not.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for 25 years. So
well, you're going to be president, so we don't have to worry about it.
Well, we're phasing out is what I'm saying. So as you think about like how is this sustainable for the long run, it's not going to be as big an issue for us in the long run because it's not available to people.
That's good. Now, spending, 44% goes to health and human services, as we said, 31% to education, transportation, 6.8%. And I know that was a big thing for you. I remember Fix the Damn Roads when I still lived there.
Yes, sir.
4.3% to the general government, public and safety corrections, 3.81%. I assume most of public safety is locally funded. Revenue sharing, $1.67 billion. Tax credits, 1.46, and I do have a little bit, to talk about that as we continue to go through this. And then just some smaller ones in general. And then, when it comes in, and I would love to actually learn more about this.
Thank you, Tolkien. And by the way, Chuck Toad, I was remiss and I forgot to say thank you for your subby a half hour ago. I was just rolling on stuff. I'm sorry, but Chuck Toad, thank you for your subby as well.
And then, when it comes in, and I would love to actually learn more about this. When it comes to the revenue, and we got operational grants is $33 billion, general taxes $21 billion, education $16 billion, and transportation $3.7 billion. Go into operating grants. I love to kind of learn a little bit more about that personally. As I was sitting there thinking about how revenue is collected from the state.
Operating grants where? Do you have a specific department
overall,
question? Or?
Well, as we're just pulling in like where the money is coming into the state.
Jenny B, I'm guessing that maybe her press secretary gave her a very subtle little sign, like, fucking relax, bitch. That would be my guess. When the camera was on Caleb, my guess is the press secretary probably gave her like this subtle little sign that she needs to relax, that she's looking defensive, and that's why she doesn't have the defensive posture anymore. That would be my guess, because some of the we don't know what's been cut, of course, but what we've been talking about is something that has been something Caleb has been offensive, on the offensive with her about a little bit, and I'm guessing she probably my guess is she probably got a little signal to just like, okay, unfold your fucking arms and stop looking like you're like hugging yourself because you're feeling defensive.
Oh,
a big chunk operational grants. Maybe through everything I was pulling from the state's websites, it just wasn't specific enough. But I was like, what is this? I'm so curious. Maybe she could answer it for
I don't think so, Zeb. I don't.
Yeah, I'm going to. I don't want to guess off the top of my head and be wrong. But
fair enough.
Government activity revenues.
Totally good.
It could be a variety of things. And it's probably a lot of a variety of things.
And we already talked about the net position, but when it comes to the school aid fund, that is a balance, but it is restricted for education of $4.45 billion. What's interesting about this, and I'd love to hear your perspective, is there's controversial things that are funding a big part of it. They got weed, which is interesting.
Lottery.
I was much more in favor of legalization many years ago, but so many studies have been coming out these last few years about just kind of overall effects on people. It's not like, shaky dependency, but many things you do when you smoke every day are no longer as enjoyable when you stop smoking, and just some overall health effects. I mean, if you're putting things in your lungs in general, it's usually not great for you.
The state released its annual marijuana tax revenue totals yesterday.
$270 million.
Mainly because of the marijuana dollars, we've got about $1 million of work planned just in road improvements.
Outside the state capitol, supporters of the cannabis industry gathered to fight a proposed 24% tax on marijuana.
A 24% hold.
Because of course they're gonna try. Because of course they've been like, yeah. See, here's the funny thing. That 24% tax on marijuana is what people have been fighting for. It's been exactly what people have been citing when it comes to the legalization of marijuana for decades. Every marijuana, advocate for the legalization of marijuana has actually said, make it legal, tax the fuck out of it, and then you can bolster the state's revenue. And now that they do it, now all of a sudden, don't tax my weed. All of a sudden, it's like, motherfucker, your weed has been legalized. You're gonna have to pay you're gonna have to pay more for it instead of buying a dime bag from a dealer on the street. Fucking deal with it. Okay? Every other, recreational, quote-unquote, drug is taxed in some way. Cigarettes, beer, and now marijuana. Well, Megas, don't necessarily kill it with taxes, but I'm sorry, a 24% tax is... What's it? Off the top, I don't know off the top of my head what the percentage tax is for alcohol and tobacco. Anybody from Michigan know what the tax percentage is on alcohol and tobacco? Because I'm gonna hazard a guess and say it's close. I'm gonna guess and say that the 24% weed tax is probably not that far off of the tax on cigarettes and the taxes on alcohol. That would be my guess. But it's, this day and age, it's like we don't want, it's the typical thing of people like, we want to get, we want the state to take care of us, but they don't want to pay for it. 10 to 11% on which one is that for, Nonchalant? The 10 to 11%. Right, but is that on both? Is that on both cigarettes and beer? Because I thought that they would have their own specific taxes. 12% on liquor. Okay, so we get 12% on liquor, so it's double the cost of liquor. Okay, and then so beer. So it's about double the tax on double the tax that liquor is. Okay, still not terrible. Honestly, still not terrible. That the tax on weed is 24% versus the tax of alcohol of 12%. Yeah, it's a little high. It's a little high. But you know what? It's legal. You can buy it in the store. You don't have to try and, call up your dealer and meet your dealer on the corner. You can buy it in the store, and those taxes are going to the state. It's the taxes are going to the state to pay for the things that you want the state to do. Like that's like this is basic. While I'm not an expert on economics, this is basic economics. Taxes are used to fund the things that the state can do and that the state can give you. That includes safety net programs. That means fixing the roads. That means paying teachers. All of it. It's taxes is how the state runs. Oh, it's 60% on alcohol and 72% on tobacco? Really? Wait, Pulp, it's really that high in Michigan. 60% alcohol, 72 Oh, in Australia. Oh, God. Okay, you scared the fuck out of me now. I'm talking Michigan. Our focus right now is on Michigan. Yeah. You're paying $1.25 more for your weed. That's it. You're paying $1.25 more for the weed. Big deal. Honestly, that is not bad at all. You think weed is cheap in that place? Yeah. So these are people that don't actually understand how basic economics of the state works. That this extra, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more for your weed, but number one, the weed is legal. That's number one, and number two, those taxes are going to the state for the state to give you all the things you keep
At
asking.
least I don't smoke and drink alcohol. That hurts my health.
That's good, JRC. Your health is important. Absolutely.
Wholesale tax on marijuana is set to begin in January, part of a long-term plan to fund road construction in the state budget.
Over the last few years.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. The people have been bitching about the bad roads. Caleb even mentioned the bad roads when he had moved out of Michigan down to Texas. People want the road fixed. It's got to get paid for somehow. So you do a little bit of higher tax on the weed. You pay an extra $1.25 for your weed, and that's going to pay to fix the roads. It's literally that simple. If you don't like it, stop bitching about the roads being bad. Stop bitching about the social programs that you make use of that let you just live the high life on, food stamps or whatever. It's literally as simple as that.
The city's been able to take a much more aggressive approach in repairing them, filling in the potholes.
Yeah, but it's not too high, our dog.
The $42 million
Destiny, it's not too high.
comes just from recreational sales and is being split among communities that allow these sales, thanks to Michigan's Taxation of Marijuana Act.
So there is that. That brings in $33.1 million.
There you go.
Then there's sports betting and iGame. Combined gross receipts, $2.86 to $2.9 billion. But the state taxes and fees is $466. There's a lot of dependency issues, especially on gambling and things like that. How do you feel that so much of school is being funded through blazing it up and going and blowing all that money?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't love that we see, a lot of gaming funding our schools, et cetera. But at the end of the day, people are engaging in the conduct, and every state taxes it and, operates budgets based on whatever taxes they collect. Our sales taxes also help fund our schools. Our sales taxes are lower than they are here in Texas. So
yes, but we don't have income.
To make up what the difference.
Oh, Raph, were you here last night when we did CoffeeZilla's video on sports gambling and how absolutely batshit crazy it is? Oh, it's the video. I've got the video on YouTube. You should take a look. Sports gambling has gone insane. And yeah, so it's now that she may be defaulting to gaming instead of gambling because gaming may be the technical term. Sorry, Chad, I'm just pouring myself a drink here. Gaming, it may be a technical term that they use to describe it in the laws. So that may be why she's defaulting to the gaming terminology instead of just flat out calling it gambling. That can happen. Some things, there's a colloquial term for it, and then there's the actual official term for it that's in government documents. She may just be using the official term for it instead of going with the colloquial. That's all.
Differences, right? Like there are legislatures and governors past have selected different things to include in the school aid fund. It's not like I came into office and said, all right, this is how we're going to start doing it. But you got to recognize that sin taxes are always the easiest taxes for legislators to take votes on. And that's generally why we see them continuing to fund things like schools and everything else in state government.
Well, people would say and advocate for it that it hurts the lower income the most.
That's not wrong.
Yeah.
And yet, I think that that's one piece of the education budget. But by and large,
well, I have two minds on this. Is it like, it hurts the lower income the most, but what are they referring to there? It's like, I need to hear that again. I need to hear, because I think I'm missing context.
And that's generally why we see them continuing to fund things like schools and everything else in state government.
Well, people would say and advocate for it that it hurts the lower income the most.
There's not
In terms of the yeah, it's that's I thought that's so I just want to make sure I heard him right. I'm of two minds on that. Like I do get what he's saying there about gambling for the lower income, because people that have lower income that may facilitate gambling will lose their money, and then of course that hurts them. But at the same time, there is a personal responsibility factor at play when it comes to gambling. We can, for the moment, put aside the aspect of addiction. Taking the addiction aspect and putting that aside for the moment, because addiction is sort of lateral to this discussion. It's there is something in, there is an issue of personal responsibility when it comes to gambling. If you are a lower income home and you need to be careful with your money, don't gamble. It's literally as simple as that. It's like there's a great deal of, especially in the lower income families, not all of them, but there are enough of them where there's a lot of like passing the buck on their situation. They talk about, there's plenty of discussion about how, like, I'm making all this money and I'm barely making ends meet, but I'm too high to receive the social assistance. Like, I get that. But at the same time, it's like, what else are they spending their money on? With some of these low income families or some of these low income individuals that say, I'm barely getting by. It's like, okay, well, what else are you spending your money on? We've seen plenty of times on Caleb's own show. We've seen plenty of times people that come onto the show and go, I'm just barely getting by, and I don't qualify for assistance. And then then Caleb actually starts digging through the finances, and what do we end up hearing? Bunch of bullshit. Spending money on bullshit. So there is a level of personal responsibility that does need to come into play here. And the statistics are not taking that into account, I don't think. When he says, that this like disproportionately affects lower income families, I'm thinking the statistics that he's drawing from are not necessarily accounting for personal spending habits and what they're spending their money on. Because that's not something that gets looked at in most statistical findings. Most statistics will broad stroke it, and they don't look into, and they can't. I mean, it's not like they can. They're trying to run statistics on a very wide swath of people, so they can't really dig down into the finer minutia of what the individual is spending on, and are they spending wisely, or are they, as Caleb likes to say, spending on bullshit. So it could be a factor, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I that's not wrong.
Yeah.
And yet, I think that's one piece of the education budget.
Mm-hmm.
But by and large,
it's about a fourth.
It's 2 cents out of our 6 cent sales tax goes to our schools too.
Yeah. Okay. And then as we continue there, the school stabilization fund is $1.3 billion. So, I mean, the overall school funding tends to look relatively healthy, but there is a lot of kind of restricted spending. So 1.3 is stabilization and countercyclical of $477 million, but 4.46 is restricted into education, which I think is good. At least we're not going in and tapping it, right?
Right. Well, we just created that in the last 2 years,
Yeah.
the stabilization fund, because I know it's important that you've got like a savings fund in case some unforeseen thing happens, and who God only knows, right? Like the last 7 years, if they've taught me anything, is that there could be some new thing around the bend that you're not anticipating. So we've got a rainy day fund or budget stabilization fund. For the rest of the budget, I wanted to create one for schools because I think it's really important that we've got additional resources. So,
and that's what's next.
Yeah.
This is a good chart.
What's that?
This is a good chart. The rainy day fund.
Yeah. See?
It's only going up. COVID took a little hit. Okay,
COVID
fair enough.
It was hard.
Yeah, it was a little, I'll be honest. I was a little annoyed when I came home for Christmas 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Like, we had to eat outside, but we were inside pods outside. It was a little weird. Then I came back here and then I could just do whatever.
Well,
that was a bit weird, I'll be honest.
Well, but remember what the temperature was. Here, you can walk around outside all day, right? At home,
but if I could
in Michigan, in the winter, we're all inside breathing on each other.
But if I was allowed to be inside outside, why couldn't I just be inside?
Because you were inside outside with just your small group of people.
And the servers and bussers.
Listen, Caleb, none of us wants to go back and relive that.
That's
we were
true,
doing the best we
please.
could with very little or very bad information.
I'll accept it. I just remember being a little annoyed.
I'm sure.
And it was cold, too.
She did not want to talk. No, she did not want to talk about that. She did not want to talk about that. Yeah.
Like, what the are people doing? Why it's so cold. What are we doing?
I think so, Atanashi.
Your blood got thin moving down south, didn't it?
Well, now I hate the summers, so it's fair. I'd like to get a place up there again on Gull Lake at some point in retirement. I love Gull Lake.
I used to think razor burns, so I was asked NJ5. I didn't need more product.
Shaving now too.
That will personal tax rate. There was a 2023 drop to 4.05%, but that was brought back up to 4.25%. And the Supreme Court denied an appeal on August 30th of last year.
Oh.
Were you more of a proponent of keeping it at 4.05 or moving it back to that 4.25?
I was a proponent of following the law, which said I had to go back up to 4.25.
Okay.
Dip, duck, dive, and dodge. She would not, she wouldn't answer the question. She did not want to answer that question. Did you want to have it at the 4.05 that people loved, or did you want it to go back up to the 4.25 where it would have actually helped fund the state? I'm a fan of the law. So you're not going to answer the question. Like, there are ways to answer this where it's still a good political answer. Like, if she wanted it at 4.25 because it's more taxes for the state and then the state can fund the programs, like, a very good political answer is, well, I would love for the taxes to, I'd love for the personal tax to be at 4.05 for the people, so they would have less, they would have a reduced reduced personal tax, and thus they would have more money in their pocket. From a financial logistical standpoint, the 4.25 is what allows us to continue to run the state and continue to run the programs. And this is not about, what I would love to do for people. It's what is necessary to keep the state running. But she's not going to do that because, and I know exactly why she wouldn't say something like that, because even a milquetoast, blatantly logical perspective on that is going to get people going, Ree, she wants to tax us to death, Ree. Like, I get it. I do get
it. If you were able to pass a law to bring it back down to 4, would you?
If someone could tell me how we're going to fund the things that we need to fund.
Would you cut back on anything in order to fund that?
I think we've made a lot of hard cuts.
You kind of just said it. She kind of just said it right there. What I just said. She kind of gave a little bit and said what I said.
Pass a law to bring it back down to 4, would you?
If someone could tell me how we're going to fund the things that we need to fund.
Would you cut back on anything in order to fund that?
You know what? I'm gonna give her a little bit of an attagirl for that. She actually came out and said, he said, "Would you bring it down to 4.05?" And her response was, "If you could tell me how we're gonna do that and still be able to fund everything we need to fund, sure." Like, I will give the credit where it's due. That was a good response. Out of all the responses we've seen today, I think that was probably one of the better responses she's had to in responding to something that Caleb postulated to her. That was good.
I think we've made a lot of hard cuts recently. So before I would agree to take more important resources out of our budget, I'd want to know where people think they're coming from. Part of the, the hardship of being in this spot is, at the end of the day, I got to make sure the book's balanced, right? And so it angers some people on my left, it angers some people on my right when I say, no, I don't want to look at that tax cut unless you got a solution for me. And no, I'm not going to look at the spending unless you tell me where the money's coming from.
I'm curious if this was, me and my obnoxious middle, and this was what was that? This was the right, and this is the left, and let's say Bernie and Mondami are right here. Where are you?
It depends on who you ask, but I think I think I'm closer to the middle.
Well, when I still lived there and you're going through the primary, there was a dude with I think a fake toupee.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of guy. I think he's in Congress now, but he was the progressive, far left running, and then you were the more center.
He and Abdul El Sayed, yes, were both way on the, yes.
But then
it really kind of irritated me at the beginning, to tell you the truth, because I'm proud to be a very, progressive former legislator with the receipts, right? I'd been in the legislature. I took lots of votes. I had an agenda, and two guys who never ran for anything ran and took all these positions and tried to make me look like I wasn't really a good Democrat. And you know what? It irritated me at the beginning, but they actually probably did me a favor because I think more people were open to hearing me out. And that's probably how I won.
But can you beat Gavin Newsom?
In Michigan? Yeah. I could beat anyone in Michigan.
Fair enough. Now, one of the big percentages that money does go to, if we're bringing taxes, legally up from 4.5 to 4.25, there is the working families tax credit. And this is a redistribution type system. And I think a lot of people forget in this country, even compared to many Western countries, our income tax system is actually towards the top of the progressive world. A lot of the funding that comes in those Western European systems, social democracies that we like, are usually value-added taxes. That's what kind of pays the bills, right? And that tends to hurt everyone, where we tend to be more progressive, where the top 1% in this country pays, I believe it's 30% of all income taxes. The top 50% pays 48% of, or 98% of all income taxes, the top 50% of earners. So we have this where we move the taxes back up, but the state of Michigan, is handing more money out. So there's a single worker with no kids making $15,000, and the federal government might get $600 to $700. There was a match of 6% of Michigan, but now we're getting up to 30%.
So the earned income tax credit, that's what that is. The working families tax credit is what we're calling it now, but it was really the earned income tax credit. And this has been around for decades. A lot of states offer the EITC to draw down federal dollars for people that are working full-time but can't make ends meet. Like a lot of people you have on your show, right? You've got people who are working $15 an hour jobs, cannot make it doing that. And so this...
Again, like I pointed out, when he goes through their numbers, a lot of the time, what does he find? They're taking out massive fucking loans and they're spending money on bullshit. I'm going to point that out because she brought up his show, and what we see on his show all the time is spending money on bullshit, spending money on bullshit, spending money on bullshit. All the time.
Incentivizes full-time work by giving people some additional tax relief. And it is disproportionately... It's over 50% supports people who are also raising kids. So it's got that compounding benefit.
Yeah, a single parent with two kids making $25,000 a year would roughly get $6,800. And now, you get that 30% match from Michigan. Now, technically, this is a form of redistribution. It is. Maybe it's with a good heart. Do you think at the end of the day, it is overall beneficial to the economy in terms of the way we're looking for our economic structure to be created and managed?
Well, I think government at the end of the day is really about making sure that every one of us can be safe, right?
Davis, she looks nervous because he's not the typical journalist who's going to give her softballs. He is a I'll call it a financial expert. He's not a traditional journalist. He just has this financial audit show. he's not going to be shy about asking the tough questions because he doesn't care. Exactly. He's not going to pull the punches. He's going to ask her the hard questions, and he's going to call her out if she gives a bullshit answer. That's probably why she looks nervous. Yeah. Well, it's not that he's a regular guy, Simply John. Let's not do that. He is a YouTuber with an incredibly popular show. Again, I think his show is either, I can't remember if it's top 5 YouTube shows or top 5 financial YouTube shows. And he has a reputation that when he gets someone on his financial audit podcast, he goes hard. He goes hard. He does not let up. And he's extremely blunt. But he's also very knowledgeable. That's a key thing. He's very blunt, but he's also very knowledgeable in the economic space. So basically, he is a wild card that she has no fucking clue how to spin. Because he can't be spot.
That's the most basic of government's job, is to keep people safe, but also to create the conditions where every person can thrive, right? To create an economy that business people can have the workforce that they need. I mean, it's all about what are our priorities and how do we make sure that all boats rise, a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, I think that's the philosophy that I've always looked at all of these policies with. And I think that it's important to have debate. I think it's important to understand some of the shortcomings of past policies and look to what others are doing and see, can we make it better? I mean, one of the things that we've done is really invest in our workforce, bringing down the cost of higher education, bringing down the cost of getting into a trade school. There was something called the Tennessee Reconnect.
Okay.
We, borrowed that idea, made it our own, and we've got the Michigan Reconnect, which helps people 25 and up go back to school and earn additional credentials. So, it's in all of our interest to make sure that those basics are addressed.
So there's also one of the more controversial things for EV holders like myself. I have a Model X, and I love it, and they hate me for it, and it's great. We have $160 a year for EVs since they're not paying, gases. They're not getting gas tax. Is it fair, especially if you're more on the clean energy side, that they're punished for not having a gas vehicle?
So how are you punished for not having a gas vehicle?
$160 a year for EVs and $60 a year for PHEVs as well. Yeah.
Okay, so that's for a registration fee. I mean, you're still using the roads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's
about tolls?
It's a We have
good here in Michigan and Texas.
We're exploring tools. It's a little more challenging because we don't have people cutting through Michigan like we do Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So it's a little more challenging, but we're studying it. And I think, we're going to explore whether or not, there's a roadway or two or many that it might make sense.
Go to Canada, right? Cut through Michigan to go to Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know if tolls are honestly good or not, but I just, that's one of the controversial things that I kind of want to bring up. Controversial. It's not like people are like raising stakes. Yeah.
Well, people get pissed about toll roads. People do get pissed about toll roads, and especially increases in toll roads. Like I vaguely remember hearing something about what's the average toll cost for my streets that are in Illinois. What's the average toll cost for, I think it's, is it 294 or 94, that's the toll road. I can't remember if it's 294 or 94, that's the toll road, once the expressway. What's the average toll cost now in Illinois on the toll road? Does anybody know? Last time I heard about it was like 40 cents. Last I knew, the ones I passed by were $2. Fucking hell. Oh yeah, like toll roads, if a toll road goes up, it's never coming down. That's the thing. $2.50 New Jersey before, and now it's $3.25. Jesus. 50 cents to $5 per toll plaza for fast food. Wow. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I want to say in the last, from what I've been hearing, in the last, 10, 15 years, the costs on toll roads has skyrocketed. Like it used to, like from what I understand, the cost on toll roads was like about 15, maybe 20 years ago was like under $1, maybe like under $1. And now you guys are telling me it's like $2, $3, $5, $10. Like, $1 to $2 last I checked, twice as much for cash. Yeah, Simply Joe, because they've got, Illinois' got, iPass. Right, yeah, Illinois was like trying really hard to get everybody on the freaking iPass. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, the tolls are going up. The tolls are going up, and when a toll road gets put in, they'll never leave. Toll road would be there for the rest of your days.
Okay, and then we'll move on.
How did you get into this? Can I ask you a question?
This?
Like, yes. Why is this your passion? Did you have a bad experience, or did you make a bad decision?
I was poor as fucking Michigan.
Okay,
but that was my choice, not Michigan's fault.
Okay,
and I was dumb. Started learning about personal finance a lot, and then after wanting to switch career fields from product management, wanted to work with a YouTuber. Someone kind of led me along for a couple months, didn't hire me, so I decided to start my own.
Yeah,
is the short version.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the worst financial mistake you ever made?
That I ever made? I mean, I maxed out a credit card at 18 immediately on a piano. I wanted to get a piano because I was going to be a music major. I have to get a nice piano, $2,500. Just, there we go.
Oof.
Or McDonald's every day, junior year of college. Also maxed out another $2,500 card.
At McDonald's?
That's why we got this. That's why we got this, baby. That's that.
Damn.
So we already talked about, some of the spending and incentives cut back.
Well, Giggle Fingers, it was, this one I can kind of give to her. It was a bit of a tension breaker. He was transitioning between topics, and she was like, just like a little, little tension breaker. There's like a few second like intermission between topics, and she just jumped on it to basically just, it's the typical thing of, right, okay, find out something about the person that you're with. So it's, it's fine. It's fine. Like she wasn't dodging a question or anything. He was actually moving on to another topic that he hadn't started yet. She asked the question. It's fine.
From the Ford Marshall Plan. And then there was the Make It in Michigan, where he spent $1 billion on 5 EV plants. As of 2025 of this month, lawmakers killed that multi-billion subsidy program, right?
Well, we're retooling a bit. So I'm working with the legislature to make sure we still have some good economic development tools. But
they killed the subsidy. That's not retooling. That is, you're desperately trying to recompile it to give it to the legislature in a format that they will pass it. So okay, that's a little bit of double talk. They killed the subsidy. They just basically said, subsidy, you go away. And now she's got to try and come up with a way to reconfigure the entire thing that the legislature will actually go, okay, we'll actually vote on it this time.
You gotta retool. You gotta be nimble. We're competing against Ohio. We're competing against Japan. You know what I mean? Like, we're competing against the world. So we've got to have the tools we need.
And then pork. Government loves pork. We got $950 million there. So $234 million public infrastructure grants, like $50 million for downtown Pontiac, $20 million to the city of Wyoming, $20 million Detroit, Greektown Corridor, $5 million to Grand Rapids Children's Museum, $122 million community enhancement projects, like $12 million statewide YMCAs, $5 million Detroit Fisher Building, $5 million Special Olympics. $5 million West Michigan Chamber. Do they not have their own money? Special Olympics?
I mean, Special Olympics? Are you against Special Olympics?
No.
Oh, the Dodge. Oh, the fucking Dodge. Doesn't the Special Olympics literally have their own financing? What, you're against Special Olympics? Oh my God, that was the most blatant Dodge we've heard yet. Oh, that was bad. That was fucking bad. That he calls out. How much was it?
$5 million. Detroit Fisher Building, $5 million. Special Olympics.
Yeah. The $5 million to Special Olympics. That's $5 million tax dollars going to the Special Olympics. And Caleb's like, doesn't the Special Olympics have their own money already? Why is the state of Michigan giving the Special Olympics an additional $5 million when they're already funded by their own thing? What, do you hate the Special Olympics? Oh, he got that one. Oh, so who on the Special Olympics was able, who on the Special Olympics knows someone in her cabinet or her that got that $5 million? Okay. By the way, one thing I was waiting to see if it came up. You know what's one thing that was not on that pork project that we have not heard about yet? All the time Caleb is going through this audit, and it may come up later. It may come up later, but you know what's one thing we haven't heard yet? Yeah, haven't heard fuck all about Flint, which still has lead in its water system decades later. I didn't see anything in the pork products addressing Flint's water supply. Now, maybe that's going to come up later. Maybe that is in already existing budgeting and is not part of the pork products. Maybe, Redmond. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, well, Zap, the budgeting was the overall. This was the special pork products. I have no idea where Flint, Michigan falls in with that, as far as like in terms of budgeting. That's why I wasn't sure where it fell in with that.
$5 million West Michigan Chamber. Do they not have their own money? Special Olympics?
I mean, Special Olympics? Are you against Special Olympics?
No, not the biggest fan of taxes sometimes.
I understand.
Especially now that I have to write the check instead of it getting automatic.
I get it. But, this is not unique to Michigan. It's not great. And we are making changes to have more transparency in the process.
Yes.
To make sure that people who are promoting whatever project they want to get done have to do it so many days in advance so that the whole world can scrutinize it so that they can make their case that it's the right thing to do.
And trust me, I qualify for the Special Olympics. I'm
Eagle Fingers, I don't know. Maybe when he was in Michigan. Who knows? Maybe there's no automatic depositing in Texas. I have no idea. But it's like, Flint is Autoland GM Central and it's not pork. Well, by the way, pork is not referring to actual pigs. Pork is, I'm assuming you already know that when it was referencing pork, that is just basically talking about like taking a bill and just stuffing it with whatever crap that you want to stuff into it to basically, fund pet projects or shit like that. But that's the thing. It's like Flint is still like we're at what are we at? We're at 4513. Yeah, so look at all the stuff that's being funded. Okay, we got public infrastructure grants. Okay, infrastructure is good. Now, there is a possibility that maybe part of this infrastructure grant could be going towards the water system. But like you've got $5 million to the Children's Museum, $20 million to the Greektown Corridor, $20 million to the city of Wyoming. Why don't they have their own fucking money? $50 million to downtown Pontiac, a community enhanced something. It's, we are talking about, we are talking about a city with no water. But we're still talking about a city in the state of Michigan that does not have water, a basic necessity of human life. And it has been this way for, I want to say, going on 2 decades. Yeah, you're correct, Eagle Fingers. I did lightweight that. It's not simply they don't have water, it's that their water is literal poison. And I'm pretty sure this is like going on 2 decades that that Flint, Michigan's water supply is literally poisonous. That the people of Flint, Michigan cannot use their water supply for anything. They can't consume it. They can't bathe in it. They can't wash their clothing in it. They can't cook their food in it. Nothing. Because their water supply is literally poisonous. And it has been for like 2 decades, at least. Why? I'm honestly shocked that that doesn't get brought up a great deal more.
It so they can make their case that it's the right thing to do.
And trust me, I qualify for the Special Olympics. I'm $91 million for healthcare projects, $20 million to the Henry Ford Health, $30 million Saginaw Medical Center, $10 million for Detroit firefighter health support, and then dozens of smaller options like $900,000 to a Troy cricket field. Guess lots of Indian immigration there. $200,000 to New Buffalo Disc, and $1.6 million Grand Rapids Ballet from the States. Why can't Grand Rapids do that?
It's a good question, Caleb. I'll have to tell you what legislator asked for that, and you can ask them that question.
That's just, I love my home state.
I know. Well, this doesn't make sense when you're looking at it from, 40,000 feet. I get it.
But don't we? Before we
I understand. But at the same token, I got to get a budget to my desk, and legislators come with their, with their special projects, and
she's not liking him calling this shit out. Now she's getting really defensive. She is not liking him calling this shit out right now. Did you hear him? Like, well, you can have this legislator that put it in there. It's like, bitch, you signed the bill. Yeah, she's hating this because he's calling it out. She's like, oh, but you got to ask the person who put it into it. But the fact is, she's the one that put her signature on it at the end of the day and passed it. At the end of the day, it's her signature on the bill. And she is so defensive.
I get it.
But don't we? Before we
I understand. But at the same token, I got to get a budget to my desk, and legislators come with their, with their special projects, and they negotiate them in. And I introduced the budget. It doesn't have any pork in it. All right.
Yeah.
When I introduced the budget. So these are not things that I ever
I can appreciate
was
that.
advocating for.
Yeah.
But the legislature gets their shot at it. And this is often what you see.
Detroit downtown boxing gym, $2 million. Detroit Zoo, $7 million. We like the zoos. They're great. Zoos are exciting. Frankenmuth Youth Sports Complex, $10 million from the state. Potter Park Zoo in Lansing, $10 million. This is the part of the show where I usually go through the spending, and it's like, we got some bullshit spending in there. We got some fucking taquitos, all right? That's what we call them here. This is some bullshit. Yeah, you're stopping in the gas station, get yourself some bullshit. Some Special Olympics bullshit.
Yes.
No, we love the Special Olympics. We love the Special Olympics.
I don't
just didn't know the state
anything
paid
you
for
said.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go off, Taylor.
Well, actually, and why it's kind of controversial is a lot of it is like no bid, negotiated late, and sponsor disclosure or after passage.
Yeah, I know. It's gross. I mean, I think.
No bid. Sovereign. Well, it depends if the zoo is in Flint. It's only the city of Flint, Michigan, that's got lead in the water. So if the zoos are not in Flint, Michigan, they're fine.
Bid, negotiated late, and sponsor disclosure or after passage.
Yeah, I know. It's gross. I mean, I think that every dollar should be, if it's used in those ways, there should be a bidding process or front end transparency, which is what I think we're going to get done.
There's also
signed the bill. At the end of the day, it's her signature that's on the budget. She presents the budget. The legislature throws in a fuck ton of shit. You have the option to go, not going to do it. Or when they try to negotiate it, when they try to negotiate and shit, you're the fucking governor. You can go, I don't fucking think so. Like, seriously. At the end of the day, she's the one that signs off on it. It starts with her and it ends with her, and there's a whole bunch of shit in between. And if they're putting in pork that you don't like, especially if it's a no bid contract, you can look at those legislators and go, I don't fucking think so. Get a bid on this. If you want to do this, get a fucking bid. Otherwise, I'm not going to sign it. Like, it's still on her at the end of the day. She is the governor.
million in I think this year for state managed retirement plan marketplace for businesses under 100 employees. Like we get like I'm a small business under 100 employees. Like I save money on taxes implementing a retirement plan. Why does the state of Michigan need to come in and use taxpayer money to set up retirement plans for private businesses?
It's a good question. I don't have a great answer for you other than I think the goal there is obviously to help the Small Business Association help their members get health care.
And at least there are some things in court, like $2.5 million for the Lansing lug nuts. Who goes?
Okay, now Caleb's pulling some stuff out of his pocket that she can't handle. Now we're seeing finance guy. Now we're seeing finance guy that's asking the tough questions because she's not able to answer them. Yeah, so she's stumbling a lot, Tristan. In the last 5 minutes or so, she's stumbling a lot. He's hitting her with questions that she can't handle.
I mean, there are some things in court, like $2.5 million for the Lansing lug nuts. Who goes to the lug nuts? I don't know what a lug nut is.
It's a lug nut is it's a part in your car, and the lug nuts are the baseball team in Lansing.
Wait, what was that last
part in your car, and the lug nuts are the baseball team in Lansing.
Okay.
Interesting. Lots of e-bike incentives, $1,250 per bike. $1,250 per bike.
Electric bikes, e-bikes, could soon become more affordable under the new state budget. Republicans say the program is another example of wasteful spending. The vouchers could save buyers anywhere from $500 to just over $1,200.
What was the public feedback about what kind of access there should be now for bikes?
I would say it was really split. Some were very much in favor and in support of what the department was proposing.
E-bikes in Michigan, where you can't use them for at least half of the year. Wait, e-bikes are useless for half of the year in the state of Michigan, i.e. the goddamn winter. And you're going to be giving tax breaks on e-bikes? Bikes are fine. There's nothing wrong with bikes, and there's nothing wrong with e-bikes. Okay? Nothing wrong with them. But you're going to be giving $1,200 in tax incentives on e-bikes when they can only be used for half the year? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Some were very much against it.
So it's expensive, just people are paying a lot of money in taxes. And it's a small percentage overall, but it all stacks up, right?
Right.
And when we're thinking of the pork that it goes to of almost $1 billion, that starts to hurt. That kind of starts to hurt. This one was this is a pilot program put into law this year, $2.5 million going to grant program aimed at short-term lenders. Payday loans, essentially. Government-funded payday loans. Now, I know you didn't advocate for this. I'm not saying that.
You're right. I just as soon sign a budget that doesn't have any of those things in it, like the budget that...
But you did. You signed a budget for state government-funded payday loans. What the fuck? What the fuck?
He wasn't give a list of questions like they give to reporters, so she can't remember the questions and answers.
Oh, I know, Hesse. I know. He's asking actual questions.
Essentially, government-funded payday loans. Now, I know you didn't advocate for this. I'm not saying that.
You're right. I just as soon sign a budget that doesn't have any of those things in it, like the budget that I introduced in February.
In the state of Michigan,
But you did. But you signed the budget with federally mandated payday loans. You signed the budget. If you didn't like whatever legislator put fucking federal government payday loans into state mandated payday loans into the budget, you could have said, "Go fuck yourself, take this back and fix it. I'm not signing it." She's acting like, "Oh, I'm so helpless here. I had to sign it." Like someone had a gun to her head or something. At the end of the day, it rests with her. She didn't need to sign it. And, well, Maximus, that's another question. Did she even read through it? Like, yeah, at the end of the day, she said, okay, and signed off on it. All of the bullshit, everything that Caleb was going down here, he wasn't calling it, but he was going, bunch of bullshit, bunch of bullshit, bunch of bullshit, big bunch of bullshit. And at the end of the day, she signed it. That's what matters. At the end of the day, she said okay, and she signed it. It's on her. She signed into the budget, into law, the budget authorizing state-backed payday loans. Predatory short-term lenders. The bane of the financial existences. She signed that into Michigan law.
Outlook is actually pretty, in general, pretty good. 3.9% growth income per capita this year, projected going forward about 3.2%. And we do expect slower growth overall, economists are saying, but still growth in Michigan, which is good. You got up to the AA plus. That's exciting. Credit rating.
How much did you pay for that?
Detroit's kind of, getting a nice little rebound. That little core area. We like that. If I would live anywhere, it would be Grand Rapids, personally, if I moved back. But 50% of the year being overcast, just can't do that. There is, potential tariff risks right now. Manufacturing is flat to down, and uncertainty is definitely high.
That was a cut.
The state is 49th in population growth. That is a long-term risk. Growing population is required for a thriving economy. In CO Center.
Yeah, if the majority, wow.
The state is 49th in population.
Wow. That's fucking bad. That means that the majority of the workforce is aging out and there's no one to replace it. That means that young people, once they finish schooling, fuck off out of the state to look for greener pastures because it's not worth it to stay in Michigan. Oh, that's bad. Whew. Yeah, everyone's leaving. Everyone, the second they can, they're getting the fuck out.
Population growth. That is a long-term risk. Growing population is required for a thriving economy.
Don't know, scary guy.
NCO
Don't know.
sentiment is negative, and so those are kind of the concerns of the state of Michigan. Do you have any thoughts on those before we kind of go on into some of the other?
Of course I do. I got thoughts on all of it, but I'll keep it succinct. I think.
Sure.
There are a lot of good things happening. I think overwhelmingly, we just saw a new poll come out about kind of sentiment in Detroit. Some crazy number, like 78% of people feel like we're on the right track. I don't know how long it's been since you've been to Detroit, but we
try to avoid it.
Well, we hosted the draft last year. It was spectacular. I mean, there's so much good stuff going on in Detroit, Grand Rapids.
Owens have been crossed almost this entire second half. The moment Caleb started actually digging down and actually throwing hard numbers at her, her arms have been permanently crossed.
Michigan's a great place. And yes, we've got some challenges, but I feel like we're making real headway, and it's an exciting time to be in Michigan.
For at least half the year.
No, all year round.
Yeah.
Caleb, people are going to need places like Michigan. 20% of the world's fresh surface water.
That is true.
We don't have nearly the climate stuff that you guys have down here, for instance.
Yeah, we got them droughts and flood.
Or on the East Coast, I mean, when we have a ice storm, we got the equipment to take care.
No, she hasn't blamed. There was talk about the tariffs, but it was minor. There was just some very, very minor discussion about the tariffs right at the beginning, and that was it. So no, she has not thrown any blame at Trump.
I mean, when we have a ice storm, we got the equipment to take care of it.
That is true. The only reason I'd move back to Michigan is if the world is collapsing. That would
Yeah,
be
and
the
that's
one
true.
thing.
They don't have access to the fresh water.
Yeah, I'm f***ing with you.
Man.
My family's there. I love Michigan. I got my Michigan stuff.
I know. You got
Western
a Michigan gift here, too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes. Hi, listen here, Financial Audit. My 30 PY, and it's called the Your Investment Link. $5 hammer. You will not regret any of these. Change your life today. Yes, let's do that. And while I do this, I mean, this is exciting. So the personal finance being taught in school, I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It is, there's no question in my mind that we're missing an important...
Hammerhead shark.
A shark, yes.
For the hammer.
You're the hammer.
There are not sharks
and
in
I
Lake
love
Michigan.
Sharks, but I love Shark Week.
You love Shark Week?
Oh, God. You've got to... Yes, there's a whole story there.
Okay.
Do you want to hear it?
No.
Okay. Google Gretchen Whitmer and Shark Week. It's not just Shark Week. It's Shark Week. But anyway, yes. Hammerhead shark, because I love sharks. What else? Keep
That'll
going.
push you over the edge
What do
in
you got?
2028. Shark Week. That's what I'm sorry. I'm just being a dick for no reason. Let's see. Oh, some coasters, I think. I'm feeling coasters. Look at that. The state of Michigan coaster. We love it. It is the Great Lakes state.
There you
and it
go.
is the Mitten State, Wisconsin. Fuck off. Like,
Right.
what are they doing?
Wisconsin, give me a break.
Yeah. Tell them to fuck off.
Fuck off.
Okay.
I wonder if that's just she doesn't like to swear. Maybe she doesn't like to swear.
I really appreciate it. I would love to learn more about personal finances being taught.
Something more. Oh, wait. Here's the... Ah.
Oh, yeah, Natty. This is exciting, and I want to close the conversation on a happy note with that. But
Okay,
yes,
we'll save it.
Western
All right.
Michigan, the national championship in college hockey last year. Thank
Hockey
you.
puck, yes. They beat my alma mater, Michigan State, on the way. So
You're damn right. We split with Michigan this weekend.
Yes.
But personal finance being
Yes.
taught in school.
So, there's no question that everyone needs to know personal finance. I remember talking to my daughter when she was
Mhm.
taking algebra, and she's like, why do I need to know quadratics? I need to know how to pay my taxes and
Yeah.
buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Not wrong.
that sentiment, I think, is real, right? We've got to give people the tools they need to take care of themselves. And we got to do it before they head off to college and get that credit card when they're 18 years
Mhm.
old and buy a stupid piano.
I still have it, thank you.
Okay, pianos aren't stupid, but to buy a piano at
No,
18
it was
not smart.
It was horrible. It was stupid.
So, we want to giving people budgeting, having a rudimentary understanding of
Yes, quadratic is referring to I can't talk. Quadratic equations. It's algebra math. It's. Oh God, how to describe it? It's been so long since I've even thought about quadratic equations. But basically, it's just algebraic math. Realistically speaking, unless you are in a specified job or seeking out a specified job, you as an individual are not going to be using quadratic equations in your everyday life or probably even in your job. Yeah, it's like it's basically graphing. It's it's like lateral to geometry, but realistically, you're not going to use it. And hence why her daughter was saying, I don't need to know this shit. I need to know how to do my taxes, how to balance my budget, and how to take care of myself financially. Obviously what she's looking to go into, that level of mathematical skill was unnecessary for her. So, yeah.
Of markets and how to save. I'm always talking to my kids about maximize what you can. If your employer has some sort of a match, do the maximum. Like that's what my parents
free
always
money.
taught me. Right. And I did it my whole time. And I've been a public service, my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not complaining about what I make, but I don't make a fortune. It's public service. That's
What do you
part
make?
of it. As governor, it's $159,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly that's the highest I've ever been paid. So
A new book, right? That's
yeah,
money.
I'm donating that money to
Really?
charity. I can't make additional money while I'm governor. So anyway,
Well played.
but the point is, you max it out, and we want people to understand that. I think a lot of people get into trouble very quickly because they just don't have that
Yes.
rudimentary. Even my husband, who was a dentist, he went to school, K through 12, went to college 4 years, went to dental school 4 years, and
You
then
do have
was
really nice teeth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I paid a lot of money. I knocked these suckers out when I was in 8th grade. But anyway, the point is, he graduated after all this schooling.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have any idea how to run a
Yeah,
business.
F8, I know. Everybody's going to call BS that she's not making, that she's not taking she's not got a political side hustle going on, that she's getting contributions from someone else on the side. I know that's I didn't say anything about it because literally you say politician, you immediately go, okay, they're getting shit on the side. That's like just, it's every fucking politician in existence. That's why I didn't bother to bring it up.
Business.
Yeah.
No one taught him that.
That's why
He
all
had to
dentists
learn
kill
that.
themselves.
Yeah. Oh God,
It's true.
I got dark fast.
No, it's true though.
But
High suicide.
What? Heck no. Just that.
Didn't have any idea how to run a business.
Yeah.
No one taught him that.
That's why
He
all
had to
dentists
learn
kill
that.
themselves.
Yeah. Oh God,
It's true.
I got dark fast.
No, it's true though.
But
High suicide rate.
But I had to, had to figure that out on the fly. Didn't get that rudimentary knowledge. So that's what we're trying to do. Arm people with information.
And this was required for graduation.
Yes.
Very good. Is there any way out of that? Because I know sometimes you can take this is a slightly different class, but it's kind of adjacent, so you don't have to take that class.
I don't believe so. I think that this
That's
is, and anyone who's in 10th grade now will have to have had it in order to graduate.
Well, W for that, right? I mean, that's
Okay.
great.
It's important.
That's very important. Can you change one thing for me, though?
What?
This is so more.
Really hot. She went to the beauty salon when no one else could, refuse to sell seeds for food. Really? Because Caleb was talking about the COVID thing. Maybe that's why she was so uncomfortable. That's why she was so uncomfortable when they were talking about COVID. Because she's the one that got caught going to a beauty salon. Okay, that now that's making a little bit more sense.
Important.
That's very important. Can you change one thing for me, though?
What?
This is so moronic. I don't understand, because Texas does it too. I think it's just Michigan and Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Tesla cannot be licensed as a dealer in the normal sense with the Michigan Vehicle Franchise Act in Michigan. I know we want to protect the auto industry, but we got new type of auto industry coming. I don't know if they build in Michigan, but let people just buy a f***ing car. And they have to avoid being in-state new direct sales under dealership law. So
yeah, Michigan's law, Michigan Vehicle Franchise Act, Michigan Cop law prohibits a vehicle manufacturer from selling a new motor vehicle directly to a retail customer, except in very narrow. What? So basically, so what he's saying is that in Michigan and Texas, you cannot buy directly from Tesla. If you want to buy a Tesla, there has to actually be a dealership selling that Tesla. You cannot buy directly from Tesla itself. Changing law would cost her the governor job, you think? You think so? Maybe.
So the sale is orchestrated out of state and then the vehicle titled in Michigan afterwards. And Tesla cannot directly own a service or repair faculty in Michigan under the same corporate structure.
That's
so stupid. It's really stupid.
It would take an act of the legislature to get it done. So I can't do it unilaterally. I will say this, though. There's no shortage of Teslas driving on Michigan roads.
Yeah, but it has to be an order out of state. We have to do this in, if I buy the side.
Okay, am I crazy or does it sound like Tesla cannot set up shop in Michigan? Am I crazy or does it not sound like this? Is that not what it sounds like? That Michigan is saying that Tesla cannot set up shop in Michigan or Texas. Yeah, they cannot have a dealership. Fucking why? That's fucking stupid. And God, that's stupid.
Cybertruck, which
who would do that?
Well, I love my ex. I'm just saying, I love my ex. Cybertruck, not for me. But if I were to buy them, they're made in Austin.
No, Shadow, apparently what other people saying is the unions basically have brought the legislators to keep that in place.
Is the government picking, well, I guess is going full old school, Obama era, winners and losers. Because you kind of are. You're picking
Why
the old
is it the
school
law in
dealership.
Texas? That is weird.
I don't know. But in Michigan too.
Yeah, well,
We're supporting the big three.
I think we can understand the history why that's the reality currently in Michigan. But
maybe
the Texas one's weird.
Get a little sucky Elon and try to get him to build some stuff in Michigan.
Hey man, Elon Musk wants to have a conversation about building in Michigan. I'm all ears. I'm game.
That?
Yes.
Come on in.
Why would you go anywhere else?
50% overcast. of the year. Depression. I can't do it. I cannot do it. Now, student loans in the country. You know, you'll probably be somewhere nearing the White House at some point. And right now, we got $1.63 trillion in student loans. That's crazy. In federal student loans alone, not to mention private. And we got $40,000 for the average borrower. And 40% drop out, by the way. I'm among that 40%. And that is 45 million people have federal student debt. And delinquency rates are rising at 7.73%. Now, my big question is, you know, the Trump...
Yeah, and part of that is people are putting out bullshit fucking videos that are trying to tell people how to basically go delinquent on their loans and claiming it doesn't affect them. Like, go delinquent on your student loan and then move. And then there's like when you get a job there, you know, to avoid garnishment, like you have something like a 3-month grace period when you start a new job where the federal government is trying to find you and trying to catch up to you. So you can work a job for like 3 months and then quit that job and go bounce to another one. Like this is the advice that people on TikTok are giving folks that have student loans that may be going into default. And it's like, it's fucking stupid as hell. It is dumb as fuck.
Administration through the BBB did enact some changes, and that kind of included the RAP plan.
President Trump's new tax and spending law brings sweeping changes to the federal student loan system.
Total student debt in America is at $1.8 trillion. It's roughly tripled in the last 17 years.
A surge in past due student loans is sparking new concerns about the health of the U.S. economy.
Currently have 22,000,
56,000,
90,000,
134,000, 108,000.
$137.48 in student loan. And here's another big question. What did they get for those student loans? How many of them got degrees that they can actually use? Something that's not being said in these reports is that most of these college students that are racking up tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans have a degree they can't fucking use. They're getting like major degrees. They're getting like degrees in stuff that is not even worth the paper it's printed on, and they end up putting the fries in the back. Like they'll get like a master's degree in fucking gender studies, and and it's worthless, and they end up putting the fries in the back. How many of these students that are racking up these endless loans can't get a job in the field that they studied for? How many of these people racking up student loans are basically doing endless college because they're doing deferments? And it's like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get my associates, and then I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get my bachelor's because I can defer because I'm an active student. Well, I got my bachelor's, but I still want to defer, so I'm going to go for a master's. Oh, but I can defer, so I want to go again. So I'm going to start all over again and get associated in this thing. And it's like, you see, are you picking up what I'm putting down here, Chad? How many of these people that are saying, I've got all this money in student debt fall into these categories?
In one survey, 60% of younger borrowers said they'd be in their 40s before their student loans are paid off.
My daughter's going to a school she can't afford, $240,000 in debt. She's going to be a well-financed barista when this is over.
And simplifying a lot of the complicated repayment processes. And that means payments are set at 1 to 10%. But I've seen all over TikTok, a lot of people mostly on, well, the TikTok generation, like kind of far left, they're like, I'm not going to pay. And then they get their wages garnished. They're like, I can't afford to pay. And it's like 1% of their income. What is your thoughts on this? Because I know you have a different political philosophy than the president of the United States, but that doesn't seem like a bad thing. But everyone on the left side of the political aisle was like, this is evil.
So where we're sitting right now, there's and every once in a while I smell toast. Do you smell the toast? Okay.
Yeah, it's a bakery. You're not having a stroke.
So I make sure I wasn't having like something going on. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I always forget to tell people.
When I went to college, way back in my day, when I went to college, the state picked up about 75% of my tuition, and my family and I had to come up with the other 25%, right? And nowadays, it's the exact opposite. So we have shifted. As a society, have said,
join the military. That's an option. Join the military. go in the military for a few years. You get the GI Bill, depending upon the state. State may pay for your college, and the GI Bill money can go into your pocket. If the state doesn't pay for it, you have the GI Bill. That can take care of most degrees that a serviceman or woman can gain after getting out of the military. And then it also has the added benefit of staffing the military and learning a good skill, learning discipline. That's like, okay, side tangent. I know you're shocked. Why I so often say like, hey, join the, do like a 4 year, 3-4 year tour in the military is not only are you learning skills, you're depending on the job, you could be learning valuable skills. You're bettering yourself both physically and mentally. You're going to have money for college when you get out of the military, and you learn discipline, because I bet you a lot of these kids that go in school, they don't have discipline. Spending time in the military, especially if you are in a good unit and are under the command of a good sergeant or a good lieutenant or a good commander, you get taught discipline. And in this day and age, that is a rare commodity. Having proper discipline, having a proper disciplined mindset of being able to get on a task and complete the task. So that is frequently why when something like this comes up, I will say the suggestion of join the military, do a 3-4 year tour in the military, get your college fund, and learn that discipline. I did some college. I did not graduate. I stopped college. I am a college dropout. I did some college before I dropped out, but that's it. So, yeah. Fissy. Yeah, and vocational schools, vocational schools and trade schools are also an excellent option too. And again, in this day and age, we as a society need tradesmen more than we need tradesmen probably more than we need businessmen and women. It's like we are lacking in that department. Everybody wants to go to business school because they think that they're going to get rich and they're going to open up a business and become a fucking entrepreneur. The fact is, we need the tradesmen, and the tradesmen get paid. Yeah, the tradesmen get paid less money than businessmen. When I say businessmen, I'm talking about like a company owner. They think that they're going to be like a corporate CEO or someone really high in a corporate office, and they're going to be on Easy Street, in the fucking high rise, whatever. But tradesmen actually are needed occupations and are often actually paid very well. Tradesmen actually do, once you get past the apprenticeship stage, like what Nick was talking about when he was talking about being a trade, as an electrician. Once you get past the apprenticeship, you can get paid very well in a trade shop. And so that is an option that a lot of people look over. Trade schools, and depending, we saw that video with Nick in regards to, electrician trade schools. I'm not only referring to that, I'm talking about like carpentry, carpentry, plumbing, et cetera, et cetera. It's a trade in this day and age is more valuable in more ways than one than getting like a business degree, realistically.
It's not in all of our interests that we have an educated population. It's on you if you're going to pursue that. And so state picks up 25%.
It is the people in the trades that help keep our infrastructure from crumbling.
Not help. It's the people in the trades that do keep our infrastructure from crumbling. They are the ones responsible for maintaining the infrastructure. It's all that. The politicians, they just basically write the checks. It's the tradespeople that actually do the work.
The individual picks up 75%, and they're putting more and more on credit cards, more and more taking out debt, right? And so this is a part of the equation that's gotten us here. Now, what is the solution? I think there's a lot of debate, and I don't think that there's any solution on the horizon right now. But I guess what I would challenge you and ask you is, what do you think? I mean, you're someone that this, you're closer to the generation we're talking about that's carrying all this debt.
I got
You
40,000.
had your amount of debt that you acquired. What do you
Oh,
think
yeah,
the solution is? Because
that's right. That surprised me for a second, but then I realized he's paying it off because it benefits his credit. Caleb could pay off his $40,000 in student debt right now. He said this before in one of his other ones. He has said he could pay this off. He's paying it off normally, and it's for him. It's strategic. I think it's for credit reasons. Like it creates a positive effect on his credit that he is regularly paying off the student debt. I think that's why, because Caleb has said he could fucking retire today if he wanted to. He's made enough with the show that he could retire today and live the rest of his life off of the dividends that he's had. But yeah, he said it's strategic that he's paying off his college debt the way he is because it is a positive impact on his credit. And someone asked something, without some overpriced gender degree, who's going to keep the Starbucks flowing? The people that wish they had an overpriced gender studies degree? Or the philosophy degree? Really? You got, really, Arkadasser? You got it down to 1.65%. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you can get the interest rate down that low, I get it. I get it.
Well, I think this potentially might have a part of the solution. One thing that many on the left are kind of angry about this, and trust me, bring a right-wing governor on and I'll critique their things too. You're just on the left wing, so obviously we're going to talk about things that are interesting. But they got upset that there are graduate borrowing limits, undergraduate borrowing limits. You talked about how 75% used to be paid for by the state. Now it's 25% and it's on the individual. Well, a lot of the times on the left, we've seen borrow an infinite amount of money to go to college, no caps. Why wouldn't the colleges just continue to raise how much it costs to go there if you can borrow whatever?
Right.
If one goes up, the other's going to go up. So setting these caps should hopefully at least discourage, they have to have people in, butts in classrooms, right?
Yeah.
They have to. And if people can't borrow a certain amount to go there, they won't be able to go. My hope is that would hopefully, restrict the endless increase of administrators and everything and just bull spending that colleges do. Now, unfortunately, foreign students, they pay cash. And that's an easy replacement. And another fear is people will just go borrow from the private student loans now. So, but I think what was kind of confusing to me is the solution, I haven't heard a solution on the left other than just keep raising what people can borrow forever. And of course the schools are always going to just say, well, can I have more money then? Because you can borrow more.
Did you, when Biden supported, had his writing off debt plan, how did that hit you?
I wouldn't have qualified at that time. Actually, I think I may have due to my previous year tax return. I was qualified for a smaller forgiveness, and I'll take free money. I'll take free money, but it wasn't a solution. It was nothing long term. It helps a select group of people that have already gone to school, but it doesn't help anyone in the future because it didn't address the actual issue.
Right. It was interesting to me, as I talked to people in Michigan, people who did take out debt but had paid it off, who were so salty about the fact that someone else who hadn't paid off their debt could get it written off.
Yeah,
it was kind of interesting. It's a hard challenge to figure out what the equitable solution is because we don't want people carrying debt for their whole lives.
No, but letting people borrow infinite amount
it
forever.
Doesn't.
In my, I went to high school in Michigan. I went to a good high school.
Yeah.
And when it was talking about borrowing infinite amounts, that's where you get that reciprocal debt happening over and over again, where you have one person to get an associate's degree, then then they'll defer the payment, and then they'll borrow more money so they can get the bachelor's degree, and it's just an infinite loop. It's the whole forever student thing that Caleb has addressed on his show before, where they just keep borrowing, and they keep just getting infinite loans. They never leave school. They never go out into life, and it's just they're a permanent student, and they just keep borrowing for as long as they can, because they're not going to be able to do it for the rest of their lives. They're not going to be able to defer for the rest of their life, but they're just going to keep stacking, and you're going to be high triple digits by the end of it.
But still, every administrator and everything was borrow any amount to go to whatever school you want for whatever degree you want. We got people getting bullshit degrees that are not going to translate in the market, and they're borrowing whatever it takes to go to the school that has the sports team they care about. I mean, that's just not working.
Yeah, well, we could have a whole conversation about sports and college.
If you were president in a hypothetical world, you know, of course you will never run, but would you want the wealthy to pay more taxes?
Would I mean, just for the purpose of paying taxes, or
Income,
for the
capital
purpose
gains.
of strengthening our,
Well,
economy
our national debt's
and
insane.
our paying off our national debt for purpose of our homeland security and making sure that we've got defense. I think we've got a lot of important things that we have not been doing.
But
and
do you
that we need to
advocate for
do.
tax increases among?
I'm not here as a candidate for a higher office, and I'm not here to advocate
Dodge.
for any
In
new
Michigan,
taxes.
would you
But
Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge. Honestly, I was not expecting her to answer that question. I wasn't. As soon as he started asking it, honestly, it's not Democrat, it's not Republican. If she is looking to make a run at the presidency, I didn't expect, if she is planning on making a run at the presidency like Caleb is insinuating, I wouldn't expect her to make a statement. That is, nobody. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. If a Republican was in her seat, a Republican wouldn't answer the question either. This is, I will freely admit, this is a loaded question that it's not, on some YouTubers' podcast, you don't answer out of pocket. You don't. It's like, this is one time where, I respect the fact that she doesn't want to answer the question because I understand it. This is a major fucking question that will be used. If she had actually answered, this question, the Clippers will clip the fuck out of this, and the minute she makes a bid for running for presidency, that clip would go fucking viral all over Twitter, saying that she's going to raise the taxes for the rich and this is literally anything you say can't be used against you in a court of public opinion. So, honestly, in this format on a financial podcast or a YouTuber's financial podcast, I'm not going to throw a lot of fault at her for dodging. I would have liked to have seen her actually address it in some way. I expected her not to, and I'm not gonna 100% call her out on it, because I do kind of understand that this is not the kind of thing you can just pull an answer out of your pocket and throw it on the table.
Taxes?
in Michigan, I mean, we did just raise taxes on sales of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
But
income taxes on individuals, or I know there's no capital gains
go.
taxes, but
I have not introduced an income tax in Michigan, no.
And you wouldn't support it if it came across your desk?
It ain't coming.
Okay.
I mean,
Wait. I'm confused. He just said an income tax. There is income tax in Michigan, is there not? Does Michigan not have income tax? Or is he just referring to an increase in income tax for the... Okay, we're talking about an increase in the income tax. Okay. So yeah, now she's fucking dodging. Now she's dodging.
I have not introduced an income tax in Michigan, no.
And you wouldn't support it if it came across your desk?
It ain't coming.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just telling you. I know you want to play
conversation.
you want to play all the hypotheticals, but I'm grounded in reality. It ain't coming.
Okay, but
why am I
tax
going to take a
increases-
position on something that's never going to happen?
Okay.
When you're president, would you propose higher taxes, income taxes
Well,
on
I don't
the wealthy?
know. All that concerns me is, California, they've lost 1.6% of personal tax income because people can move anywhere now. The UK itself, they've lost 16,500 millionaires.
No. Wait. Okay, hold up. Sarah. So she's been talking about increasing personal income tax for the last 3 years. So she has been talking about it. But she hasn't introduced it. Like, and by that you're referring to a personal income tax, like a higher personal income tax for the wealthy. Is that, and am I understanding that correctly, Hoff? She's talking about introducing an increase in personal income tax for the wealthy. She's been talking about it for the last 3 years, but she has yet to introduce it. And now she just said it's not coming. It's never going to happen. So she's been, uh-oh. Uh-oh. So, hang on. Let me play this back. Hang on.
And you wouldn't support it if it came across your...
Yeah, Michigan, I mean, we did just raise taxes for on sales of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but income taxes on individuals, or I know there's no capital gains taxes, but
I have not introduced an income tax in Michigan, no.
And you wouldn't support it if it came across your desk?
It ain't coming.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just telling you. I know you want
have a tax
to play
conversation.
the higher.
So she's been talking about it for 3 years. If this is the same income tax that you're talking about, Hawk, a personal income tax raise for the wealthy of those making over $100,000, she's been talking about it for 3 years and has yet to bring it to board, yet to bring it up, yet to introduce it, and now she's saying it ain't coming. Interesting. Very interesting.
I'm going to play all the hypotheticals. Would you propose higher taxes, income taxes?
Well,
on
I don't
the wealthy?
know. All that concerns me is, California, they've lost 1.6% of personal tax income because people can move anywhere now. The UK itself, they've lost 16,500 millionaires going all across the world. They're losing tax revenue substantially, 10% lost in taxes and capital gains taxes because they decided to close some loopholes, and they're like, let's get people to pay the fair share. And now they're losing more tax revenue. So that's why I wanted to kind of hear your philosophy on this. Now we are wrapping up here. Can I ask a couple quick fires, Ms. Press Secretary? So a couple quick fires? Very cool. Quick fires. Very good. Michigan is a declining population state where southern states, Texas gained 4.3, Florida 4.7, where states like New York, Michigan, California are leaving. Why do you think that's happening? Why is that transition happening in this country?
I wouldn't say we're declining. We're not growing as fast.
Yeah.
I think that's an important distinction.
The year of that this metric was taken, which was 2020 to 2023, that had a 0.3% loss.
In our last census.
Actually, Bastard, it's not only Illinois. It was Illinois. Look at Louisiana, West Virginia, Ohio. Look at Michigan. Look at Michigan. New York, California. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an important distinction.
The year of that this metric was taken, which was 2020 to 2023, that had a 0.3% loss.
In our last census, we were up a percentage point. So whatever. I mean, it's not worth quibbling. It's just the point that, we do have an older population in Michigan. And I think that's part of why our strategy around it, investing in people, places, and opportunities, that bring good paying jobs is going to continue to be really important. But I do have I had a chief growth officer, first state in the country to do that. We want to stay focused on how do we grow our population. It's important.
And now in the state of Michigan, we are seeing Michigan Court Rule 6.106 provides that the default presumption is release on personal recognitions, which is no money bond, or on unsecured bond rather than cash bail. We are
Really? So they're defaulting to an I bond. Whatever shorthand Michigan is using it. Oh. Okay. So this is in regards to arrests. In regards to arrests, the court is ruling that by default, a person is going to be released on personal recognizance, like basically no money bond. Like, if you get arrested for something, you're basically just going to pinky promise that you're going to show up in court. You don't, because it used to be, if you got arrested, typically for misdemeanor and or felony, that there is, like, for misdemeanors particularly, there is typically a set bond amount. You would need to either pay that yourself, or if you lived in a state where they use bail bondsmen, you would contact a bail bondsman to bail you out of jail, and then you would basically owe the bail bondsman. And so if you skip out on court, then the bail bondsman has to pay your full bond to the court, and that's why that's where you get the bounty hunters coming in. If there's no bail bondsman, you as the individual would have to pay a bond. Typically, you're paying about 10% of the bond, depending on the state. Obviously, every state is different, but you would pay a percentage of the bond as your financial promise that you will show up for your court appearance. And if you do not show up for your court appearance, then your bond becomes what was the role I'm looking for? I forgot the technical word for it. But basically, you give up that money, the court keeps that money, and a bench warrant gets sworn out for it. No, not a bounty. Not in the forfeit. Thank you, Great Matter. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I'm talking about in states where there is no bounty hunters, where there are no bail bondsmen, there are no bounty hunters. You are paying the cash to the courts themselves as your bond or financial promise that you will show up to your court case. And if you don't, your bond has become forfeit. The judge issues a bench warrant for your arrest, and the next time you run across the police, then they will run your identification. You go, oh, you got a warrant, click, you're going to jail, and then you're going in front of a judge the next day. Typically speaking, they'll do another bond or whatever. But now Michigan apparently is doing, by default, it's a personal recognizance bond, which is literally nothing more than a pinky promise. I promise I'm going to show up in court. No money is exchanged, and you're just basically on your honor. Essentially, you promise you're going to show up in court. See how well that works out for him.
Cash bail. We are starting to see even a shooting that happened in Austin over the weekend was someone that has already had multiple violent offenses. We know that individuals with 3 to 10 violent crime convictions represent only 0.9% of the total population, but account for almost 50% of violent crime. And those who have been released from prison account for 70% were rearrested within 3 years. Is these no cash bail systems that, we're tending to see places like New York, New Jersey, Illinois, DC, and we talked about Michigan, is that actually benefiting people, or is it just, are we not keeping people safe like we want to?
I think, I'm proud of a lot of the trajectories that we're on in Michigan. I think that when it comes to the no cash bail, what we see is a situation where people without resources pay a much bigger penalty than those that do. Just one more example of it is in the criminal justice realm.
Deflection.
Our recidivism rate is really low in Michigan.
That's good.
I'm proud of that. But certainly.
Number one, I want to see stats on that because X the fucking doubt. But she fucking dodged. She just fucking dodged. Listen to what she just said there.
Trajectories that we're on in Michigan. I think that when it comes to the no cash bail, what we see is a situation where people without resources pay a much bigger penalty than those that do. Just one more example of.
We're not talking about penalties, Governor. We're talking about bail for having committed a crime while you wait to go see the judge. How are low-income people paying a higher penalty than non-low-income people when the bond is supposed to be the same? The bond is based on the crime, not how much your personal income is. So she just fucking dodged that and tried to pull the typical, this is disproportionately affecting poor people shit that every politician does. Not much, Warthog. We've only got a couple minutes left.
Of it is in the criminal justice realm. Our recidivism rate is really low in Michigan.
That's good.
I'm proud of that. But certainly, there are always going to be examples of where someone is, not a part of the general rule and is an egregious example. And I think you've just raised a couple.
And then 2 final rapid fires. First one, a little more sad. Second one, very happy. Political extremism. It's scary.
Yeah, I think we're in for a violent couple of years.
Yeah.
It's an ungovernable city.
People are exercising a lot of their rights to take it to the streets.
and get their voices heard.
Political extremism was the #1 issue in America.
An alarming rise in political violence across the U.S., targeting both Democrats and Republicans. Nearly a third of Americans now believe political violence may be necessary to get the country.
This is what's scary, is that 30% of this poll, which again, nowadays, something to bear in mind, you have to take polls these days with a huge fucking grain of salt. Polls are not what they once were. Polls are far from tell the proper story these days. Yeah, they're easy to bob, they're easy to fuck up, they're way too fucking easy to skew. That's literally any poll. I don't give a fuck who's putting it out. I do not care who puts out the poll. They are way too easy to fuck with. So I don't trust polls a hell of a lot, and I haven't for a while. But I do not doubt that there's been an increase in the number of people that say that violence is needed to basically get the country back on track. Now, the percentage, fuck, I don't care. But I don't doubt for a moment that people at large, generally speaking of the general populace of the United States of America, I do not doubt that more and more people are thinking that violence, particularly political violence, is needed to get the country, quote, back on track, whatever their personal political ideology, is involved in that. Whatever their personal political ideology constitutes back on track, which obviously differs depending on anyone that you talk to. So, yeah, this number I don't buy. Do I think it's increased? Yes, I do. I do. How much it's increased, I don't even want to speculate, but it has increased since last year, that's for sure.
Back on track.
A man broke into the Pennsylvania governor's mansion in April and set the dining room alight in an attempt to kill Governor Josh Shapiro and his family.
President Donald Trump is announcing on Truth Social, Charlie Kirk is dead.
The horror unfolded around 9 last night. A group of people leaving a young diplomat's reception at the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington when a gunman opened fire.
Hey, I'm nipping this in the fucking butt. Stop. Stop. It's not left. It's not right. It's all violence. All of it. Has nothing to do with No, don't. Don't fuck with me on this. The political side don't fucking matter. It don't. When it comes to violence, we're seeing it everywhere, and the sides don't fucking matter. What matters is
get some help.
What matters is that there is violence because people are frustrated, angry, or flat out crazy. That don't even have a political dog in the fight, and they're living in their own sense of reality. There is what we are seeing an increase in violence across the spectrum, no matter how much you want to try and say it's this side or it's that side. Okay, I know people love to do that. I'm probably going to get so much shit in the comments for this, but I don't fucking care. Violence is violence. I don't give a fuck who's facilitating it. You can try and point out one side's doing it more than the other, or it's this side's fault or it's that side's fault. It doesn't fucking matter. It's violence. And it's violence born from everyone's frustration and anger because they hate seeing what's happening in the country in one fashion or another. And that is what matters more than everything. Everybody, regardless of political stripe, is so frustrated, is so angry, is feeling so helpless, is feeling so desperate that more and more people are turning to violence. That is what matters most, is that is what people in politics are ignoring, is that the level of frustration that everyone is feeling, the level of desperation that everyone is feeling, that they feel like they're seeing the country just collapsing before their very eyes, whether or not it is even true. And I'm not even going to say whether or not it's true that the country is collapsing. That is completely speculative. They feel like violence is the only explanation, or they're being influenced by people who are promoting violence. That's what matters. That's the focus, is that people are feeling this desperation and feeling this depression, and they're turning to violence because of it. And that's what matters.
Both diplomatic staff at the Israeli embassy were killed. Tonight, it's being investigated as a targeted terror attack.
Right now at 6:04 happening today, Minnesotans will begin saying goodbye to a powerful political leader who was tragically assassinated in her own home.
Stop the steal! Let's get their gun!
I know people on Martha's Vineyard, who, if they had the opportunity to kill Donald Trump, probably would. They think he's Hitler.
We just saw Charlie Kirk get shot. Me, people are going to view me as more right-wing from this conversation because I push back on some left-wing policies.
Sure.
And if Governor Abbott from Texas was here, I'd push back on some right-wing policies. That's what happens. But people are going to see that, and they've already called me fascist and Nazi online just because I say personal responsibility is okay with money. Oh, scary. But people are labeling that and then killing them because they're fascists. Kill all fascists. Okay, maybe that makes sense. But if you label a normal person a fascist, you kill them? What do you think is going on with political extremism right now, and how would you solve it?
I think it's really dangerous when we have leaders who want to fan the flames of anger and violence. I think it will continue to see it grow, which is why I take it so seriously, which is why whether I'm the target of it or one of my colleagues on either side of the aisle is, or the President of the United States is, I speak out against it every single time.
Good.
I don't make excuse for it. I do not accept it, no matter where it's coming from. It's not okay. And I think it'd be refreshing if everyone with a platform did that.
And then final, hey, the poll came out today, NCAA hockey, the top 3 teams, Michigan State, Michigan, Western Michigan. We are the hockey state.
That's right.
We own this place. National champions last year, Western Michigan. I don't know. You're probably rooting for Michigan State, but I just want to share a little bit of hockey love here.
I love it. Let's go, man.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, future President of the United States, Governor Whitmer here. Thanks for joining us for this financial audit. I'd say, Hammer financial score for the state of Michigan honestly looks halfway decent. Couple pension concerns, couple of that overall net worth concern, but looking at about a 6 or a 7 out of 10. So CalebHammer.com for that. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
And don't forget to join us for the Financial Audit Post Show, where we do an extra 20 minutes of this conversation with me and the team and the producers, and we break down this conversation and go into more tea. I'll see you there. Click that join button. Bye.
Caleb, what's the one question you really wanted to ask, but you knew that you maybe couldn't ask?
Oh, we didn't talk about
hearing you say in front of the governor.
or gooning out of the gate.
That was my favorite moment.
Dude, Hammer Elite is the best YouTube membership on the platform, and I just upgraded it. 3 exclusive dedicated shows every single day, Monday through Friday. Join with the link in the pinned comment or description below. This is the best membership you'll ever join. That's a promise.
Right. Got a little heavy there at the end, but it was. I like the fact that he was pushing. I like the fact that she dodged when he pushed. He definitely tried to dodge. I like the fact that he pushed. It is nice to see. The takeaway from that is we are starting to see some improvements in Michigan. We're nothing major. We are seeing small improvements from Michigan in terms of their finances and getting up track, but we're seeing expenditures there that we saw in the pork that it's what the fuck are they doing? Why is this money going where? We didn't hear about Flint, which I was disappointed to hear about, what they're doing in Flint, but it was good. That was good.